Under the same roof, we share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And how do we stand in love's pure might? Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. We have a special presentation today in regards to Carmelo Anthony. As you know, we had 3 heels on the ground for the hearing. The hearing actually started earlier in the week. The first day was in regards to the recusal of Judge Roach. Now, as you guys know, I actually attended the actual trial for Carmelo Anthony. I had the chance to sit behind him. I learned so much in regards to this case. However, I'm starting to learn more in the last few days from things revealed at the hearings that I actually heard while at the trial. Well, why was that the case? Because they had a good old boy type of gentleman's deal. That's what they call it when you shake hands and you say, hey, listen, I won't talk about your guy negatively if you don't talk about my guy the same way. So that's why when I attended the actual trial, I would come back and tell you guys, listen, something's not right here. It seems like the defense is not even covering Carmelo at all. And why is that the case, right? Thank you guys so much for coming in. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. I saw that Mustang was here bright and early, even before me. That is so amazing to have that type of support. Now, when we think about Carmelo Anthony, just think about all the tension that's happening right now, all of the narratives that are floating around. This case is tough. And actually, I'm going to show you today, we're expecting a final verdict on whether or not he gets a new trial. You could put a 1 in the chat if you think he deserves a new trial. Put a 2 if you think not. Let me see what you guys have to say in regards to this matter. Before I bring on my guest today to talk about what they actually heard at the hearings, because they were right there in court, we're going to just get some of the context in regards to this whole narrative about Carmelo Anthony and also the Metcalf twins. And the reason why I speak of the twins is because technically both of them were quite involved in this whole day and how it played out. Carmelo Anthony, as you probably know, he's sentenced to 35 years for taking the life of Austin Metcalf. At the time that this occurred, he was 17 years of age. Okay, and also Austin was around the same age as well. One of the twins. I'm going to start off by giving you guys a glimpse into what the father had to say, because he's been attending these hearings for the last couple of days. I want to make it clear, some of the things we're going to talk about today are horrendous. They're terrible. And neither side are angels. And even though you might choose to focus on one side over the other, let's not get it twisted. The things that came out during these hearings for both sides are absolutely terrible. Do they give us a glimpse into the young generation today? Has all generations been this way since the inception of mankind? Well, these are the questions we are trying to have answered. In fact, we're going to have criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson on today. He's going to be popping in to give us some insight. But more to this story than meets the eye, the twins, they were in court. They're actually going to come on and go through their notes for 3 days. This is going to be quite the show. It's going to be a long show. But if you're really interested in knowing about this case on both sides, we're going to look at it unbiased. I'm not going to hold back from talking about the things that Carmelo Anthony has been accused of doing. Okay, now this hearing was not about putting out evidence in regards to these matters. I think it served for a different purpose as to why some of these items were brought up. When you hear about those different details about Carmelo Anthony saying that he wanted to stab someone and lick the blood off the knife, all of that is to really, I think, is focused to drive the media because when you think about these cases, as I mentioned before, I attended Sean Diddy Combs' appeal. A lot of people are not aware that Sean Diddy Combs had applied for appeal back in April, I believe. Guess what? We still don't have an answer. No answer as of yet. But one thing for sure, there were three judges. The lead judge says typically when a jury gives a verdict on a case, it's very hard. He says it's very seldom that we actually turn those verdicts around or guess what? Or grant a new trial. Okay. Once 12 individuals have voted on a matter, it's very difficult. Okay. So in this case of Carmelo Anthony, now we have a judge that was retired. And one of the things that I want you guys to keep in mind, this judge is retired. So it's not like he's having the influence of going back to the courtroom to face the heat. They pulled him out of retirement. He has a track record. So you have to ask yourself, will this judge put his career on the line? And not necessarily his current career, but his legacy on the line by granting Carmelo Anthony a new trial. Keep in mind, the original judge was black in this case, and the fact that she gave Carmelo Anthony the chance to come home, under bail, she started receiving threats beyond compare. So just imagine how this is going to pan out in regards to this judge. But I just want you to have an open mind to understand the full length of how this case is structured. And when you have, keep in mind, this whole hearing was all about, okay, when you had this trial, the trial that I attended, was things done by the book? And also, was it okay for the judge to actually go on television afterward and do an 18-minute interview and tell everybody, I think the case went great, perfect, I'm speaking loosely about it, but that's the persona we were given, right? The judge actually said he felt like the jury came to a great verdict because apparently he gave us an opportunity to peer into his heart, perhaps. He felt that Carmelo Anthony was guilty, and quite frankly, he got what he deserved. This is what we were able to detect from the interview. They actually played the interview in the last couple of days in regards to this hearing. So there's just so much here to unpack in regards to this case, right? Now, they made this gentleman's deal. Well, we have to ask why. Why did they make a handshake deal, an invisible deal that was off the record? What was it from the standpoint of the twins that they did not want everybody to know? Obviously, there had to have been something on the table, right? Something they were scared of. Well, all of those types of things are coming out over the last few days in regards to the Metcalf twins. A lot of it had to do with racial activity, spraying racial slurs on buildings and calling people the N words. What about the beatings handed out in regards to girls, right? There's a statement being made. A lot of people are passing around that one of the twins said that his hands were bisexual, meaning his hands are uninhibited by either male or female. There's no prejudice. You both can get it. What does that mean? What does that tell you? Because when we actually attended the trial, when I attended the trial, see, they painted the picture that the Metcalf twins were pretty much good kids, right? We did not have a glimpse. We didn't get a chance because of the gentleman's deal to understand all of these 53 different occurrences where teachers were basically issues they had with the teachers. I mean, we're going to go through it all today in regards to the twins who are actually in court and a few others. But I'm telling you to brace yourself because some of this stuff is terrible. In fact, we're going to take a look at what the father, Jeff Metcalf, had to say because, according to his own words, when he sat in this hearing over the last couple of days, the two hearings, he had no clue that some of these things, in fact, he didn't say he didn't have a clue that they would come out in court. He made it seem as though he didn't even understand or know that his kids were doing such terrible things, right? So we're going to get a chance to actually peer into that as well. But again, guys, I want to brace you because today's show is going to be tough because both sides are going to show some terrible deeds, right? And it makes you wonder, what do children have to face in school? Do you really have kids at school handing out beatings to other kids? I would, maybe I'm a little detached from life, but I would not imagine that boys would be beating girls. Because then, if that happens in your personal life, then, that's going to have to be dealt with, right? Can you imagine you have a daughter and a boy that's a football sized guy? And I'm not even talking about these guys, but in general, some guys beating up your girls at school. A lot of the boys are small frame. We're not able to, when we come into this life, we can't choose. I want to be, 7 feet tall and a linebacker. You don't get a chance to choose that. You're given this shell and you have to accept it. A lot of people are starting to alter, but pretty much if you're small by nature, often the bigger kids are going to already give you a length of trouble. Sometimes the bullying does not stop, right? So just imagine what the kids have to go through when you hear the stories that we heard over the last 3 days in regards to kids even having guns. Why would 17-year-olds have guns, right? Why are they out stealing? Why are they out putting graffiti on buildings that's derogatory toward other races? Who's raising these kids? In fact, we're going to take a moment now. We're going to check out some of the things that Jeff said. And he's going to talk about the new organization that he created to help people, I guess, from what I understand, control their emotions. But today, as we listen to this, we're going to go to it now. I want you to ask yourself, how does this start? Does it start at school or does some of this start at home? Do you put the blame on somebody else's child? Or do you say, well, you know how some people say, listen, this is genetics. He got it from his dad. He got these traits from his mother. Some people look at it that way. Others say it's learned behavior. You see things at home, you try to go to school, right? If you have a 10-year-old beating up girls, where do you think they learn that at, right? Where does a 10-year-old learn to beat up girls if it's a boy, right? This is something to think about. The key thing I want you to keep in mind is that oftentimes these behaviors, if they go unchecked at home, my grandmother used to always say charity begins at home. And she would say, if you don't learn at home, you might learn in the street the hard way and somebody's going to take your life. So we really need to factor all of this in as we get into the next storyline here. Again, before I bring on my guests, we're going to go through and get the backdrop of this case and also understanding the hearing over the last couple of days. Thank you guys for all the comments. I do see it. I see some new names in the building. Guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. I want you guys to check out Jeff Metcalf here. And I want you to really think about it because it's going to help you to understand. See, right now, when most people think about Jeff, they think about the watermelon felon, right? Those statements that were made. Okay, that really struck a note here, right? To make that type of statement, especially people not involved, but then they realize the nature of saying those type of words. But now let's get into this show. pay attention, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Also, hit the heart so that we can get more eyes and ears on this particular show. Check this out.
The case of Carmelo Anthony seemed pretty cut and dried early on. I mean, of course, there was this overlay of race because he was black and the other kids were white. But once you got into the facts, it seemed to be a pretty straight line analysis of a kid who decided to stab someone that he was in a disagreement with to death. The person he was disagreeing with was Hunter Metcalf. And you'll remember the jury didn't have a single black person on it, and that was an issue, but the judge had dealt with it and said this case has nothing to do with race, so why would the race complexity of the...
So I want to take a moment. I was there in the courtroom. I want to give you an idea. And listen, I pay close attention when I cover these cases, right? I want you guys to understand. I take it very seriously what I do. Imagine I fly from New York all the way down to McKinney, Texas. I'm taking great notes. I'm in the courtroom. In fact, I don't even have a decent meal because when I get out of court at 6 o'clock, I have to be back in line at 3 o'clock in the morning the next day just so I can get into the courtroom. So just imagine what that entails, okay? It's very important. Now, for the jury in this case, I'll tell you why I remember off the top of my head because I actually drew a chart while I was in court. But there were 5 white women, 5 white males, okay? There's only 18 with the 12 main jurors along with 6 alternates, all right? Now, keep in mind, I found out this week that the courts down in Texas, they follow Watching the World. So every time I do a show now about this case, I assume that perhaps different individuals from the courthouse are watching. So I want to say welcome to you guys too. So 5 white women, 5 white males, okay? There were 1 Hispanic female, okay? There were 3 Middle Eastern women, 1 Middle Eastern man, okay? There were 4 Asian women. So that gives you the construct of the jurors. So that's 18. None of them identify or look like they were black, okay? Now, as I was flying down to Texas, one of the things that I heard while I was on the airplane, I was reading, I try to stay on top of my game, looking and see what's happening. I said, okay, because when I traveled, the jury had already been chosen. Okay, it says no blacks on the jury, okay? And I'm like, wow, no blacks on the jury. This is going to be, in fact, some of the reportings that I saw, it didn't say no blacks on the jury. It says an all-white jury. Okay, so when I got there and I started to see, you had Asians, you had Middle Eastern individuals, Hispanic, 1 Hispanic, okay, but 10 white individuals. That's something to really think about, but it does not fit the exact narrative of all white people. Now, if they were filling out a form for a mortgage, well, then that would be different because they would, check off white. So on a technicality, I guess you could say it. But visually in the courtroom, that's not what I saw. So it's very important. I want everybody to understand that as far as the representation of Carmelo Anthony, there were no black representatives of him. Okay, it was 2 white guys. And then I think I saw a female that was heavily involved. I felt like she could have been an attorney. She looked like she may have been somewhat Middle Eastern. Then also on the prosecution side, you had obviously Bill Werski and the other guys, Mitchell, they're all white guys. Okay, so this just gives you an idea, right? But when you look into the audience of the courtroom and who was in line, predominantly you had black people there to try to figure out what was happening in regards to Carmelo Anthony's case. So I'm just trying to help you to understand. Now you can understand, get an idea of the makeup in regards to the jurors. Let's get back to it and see what they're talking about here.
Our jury matter, and that is true under the law. That is true under the law. You'd have to find that you were intentionally keeping...
Pay attention to what Jeff Metcalf has to say here. I think it sums up this whole arrangement.
People of a certain race off for a certain reason, and that didn't seem to be here. Now, though, that judge is gone. Not because of that per se, but because of his extrajudicial comments, which is where he gave an interview after the case, and he was asked if he thought the jury got it right, and he said, yes, whatever they come up with, they got it right, and that hurt their client. And so there's a new judge who's weighing whether or not to grant Anthony another trial. And something came out today that is very, very unusual.
Very unusual. Keep in mind, it's very important to pay attention how Chris Cuomo actually frames all of this. You have to pay attention to this as well. Now, I want to make something clear. I'm not an attorney, but criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson will be coming on. See, what throws everybody off in the audience when we attend these trials, when they say you are entitled by means of the Constitution to a jury of your peers, most people, right? They come to the conclusion, they rationalize, oh, I'm going to have people on the jury that look like me, right? I'm entitled to that. Well, that's not true. A jury of your peers means people that represent your local community, right? And so he was actually tried in Collin County, and that's quite different from Dallas. Dallas, he probably would have had a better potential for having blacks on the jury. But in this case, he was not even afforded one. And if you listen to the 18-minute video from Judge Roach, the way he laid it out, it's very synonymous of a person that's working like at a factory. And you know how you have a conveyor belt? I remember those early years. I worked at a factory right out of high school while I was going to school. And you just imagine whatever's coming down the conveyor belt ultimately gets packaged up, usually in clear plastic, and put a bow on it if it's candy or something. When you listen to Judge Roach, that's the way he described that, how this case was all laid out. And he told you how they pretty much planned it out from the beginning, months beforehand. But as you listen to it and go back and listen to the video, you kind of pick up that Judge Roach. Now, I can't tell you what the man is saying, but it's almost like he's picturing that Carmelo Anthony is going to end up in this place. The same place that we saw after the trial, that he had his head bald, right? He had all this hairstyle in court. I saw he had wavy hair. That verdict came in. I was there. And after that verdict came in, they sentenced him within 24 hours. That hair was gone, right? And you saw the picture of him being incarcerated, right? A lot of people said he should have gotten more. But I'm just trying to help you to understand. And if you really pay attention to what has been presented, you'll see why people feel like, well, the trial was a matter of formality. It wasn't really about, there was an opportunity he could have been found guilty. I don't think that was the expectation. When you listen to the videos and you see all the comments, it's almost though Carmelo Anthony was coming down that conveyor belt and he was going to end up in that cell, and that's where he is, right? Okay. So anyway, let's get back to it. Let's pay attention to the words. Words are very important as we follow through with this. Let's go.
An agreement between...
Guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. This is going to be a long show. We have amazing people coming on that were in the courtroom this week. I was in the courtroom for the main trial. We're going to give you a great show. So make sure that you hit the hearts. And we really appreciate all that you guys do to support this channel.
Between Carmelo's lawyer and the prosecutors to not put information about both boys' backgrounds into the trial. This is very weird because there's now a bunch of alleged information about Hunter Metcalf in the air that is very ugly.
A lot of people are asking what time is the ruling. The judge just said he would get it done the next day, which should be today. So we're staying on top of it. The minute we have a ruling coming in, I'll definitely go live if I'm not live already. We're going to be pretty much live for most of today, so you might have a chance to hear it live.
Imagine if this is your kid, he's gone, and now it's kind of like he's being put on trial. I wanted to talk to his father about it, and Jeff Metcalf agreed. And
I would agree with that. It seemed like Austin is definitely on trial. He's not here to speak up for himself, but people are starting to find out terrible things about him. We get a chance to listen to his father, and the father gives us an opportunity to understand what the family thinks, I would imagine.
going to come on to discuss it. Jeff, thank you for taking the time and the opportunity.
Thank you, Chris. Glad to be here with you tonight.
So, you know everything I know and more. What do you make of the developments that we saw today?
I mean, it's another procedural trial hearing, just like yesterday for the judge. Today is for, talk about the retrial, if they're going to grant that or not. Yeah, information did come out. I'll be honest, as a father, I was disappointed, very disappointed in seeing those things. But at the end of the day, it's really about the facts of the case, because I have to relive this all over again. And no matter what the outcome of this is, my son's never coming home.
It seems like just yesterday, I was actually in trial, watching all of this develop. One thing I noticed is that the mother, whenever the video was being shown, at least of the incident, or there were certain moments where, let me give you an example. After all of this happened and the emergency services came in to take Austin away to try to preserve his life, they left behind one of his sneakers. So imagine that when the mother saw it, and more than likely, she probably purchased the sneakers for her son. So throughout the day, she was continuously crying, and you could hear her all day long. Now, I understand that, right? I do understand, because this is her son. She's emotional. In New York, they will not allow you to cry or to make a peep of a noise in this courtroom. So I was so set back, because I'm like, wait a minute. Now, remember, I'm sitting on the front row right behind Carmelo, so I can observe everything he's doing. The jurors started to pay more attention to the mother crying than they were basically to the attorneys who were asking their questions, and also to the different individuals that would get up into the witness box. Okay. But again, this is your child. I get that. But in New York and other courtrooms that I've been into, they would never allow you to make any type of crying, laughter, because it's going to have a major effect on the jurors. So what I observed, right? This is just my observation. Once the mother started crying, and a lot of times I would look over at her because she was sitting right down to my left. She kept her hands in her head, her head in her hands most of the day, and she's crying. The jurors would start to, every time a question would be asked, right? They will look at her, then they will look at the attorney, then they will look at the witness, right? And that was the vicious cycle that occurred throughout the day. And every time she would hit a high note with her crying, and I'm not condemning her, but I would see certain jurors looking at her when they played the 911 call, where one of the friends of Austin actually said, listen, my friend has been whatever, right? The mother was crying so much. I look at the jurors, I counted 3 jurors were crying too, right? So this was a tough day with all that was happening in regards to this case. Let's get back to this. And guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe, keep hitting the hearts. We're going to cover this at a high level today. Thank you very much.
So
I understand, and I think you've been incredibly strong in how you have stood up and what you've talked about and what you've said. And when you say it was disappointing, are you disappointed in what you heard, or are you disappointed that you heard it at all and that it's part of this situation?
just disappointed as a father. I mean, we all want our children to be, the best they can be, and obviously we all fall short. But, to see that information that I had never actually seen before, but I knew at some of the incidents, we had dealt with it at home, but I'm just saying, I'm just very disappointed in what I saw from my sons, and it still doesn't change the facts of the case. And
So think about that. A lot of it he hadn't seen before, right? And now, as you're going to hear from my teammates that were actually in court, they're going to tell you that they're going to explain how he was responding when a lot of this was being said in court. I'm going to bring them on in a few moments, and you're going to have a chance to find out some things that the media is not talking about. Now, here's something that I learned about yesterday. I'm actually going to put out the video so that everyone can enjoy and realize what was happening yesterday. Allegedly, according to an individual that was actually in the overflow room. Now, keep in mind, Judge Roach has been recused from the case. Well, they said that they could see that he was in attendance, right? This is what the individual said, because he was on the Zoom. So, so that's what they saw. They saw Judge Roach name on the Zoom in connection with the hearing. So, even though he's recused, right, he's still present. How does that work? It's quite interesting to have an individual that came on and talk about what they witnessed. Okay. And what makes it so troubling is because people already feel like, well, you know, if the judge is recused, does that mean he doesn't have any more role here? Does he have any more influence? Well, we don't know, but we're going to ask Attorney Calvin Johnson, how does this really work, right? Because we want to know, does this really make it a open and focused hearing that's with the new judge, or do we still have remnants of the old trial, right? And will any of this have an effect on the answer that comes through? More than likely today, and we're waiting for the answer, right? We're on pins and needles just to see if a new trial will be in place. Now, keep in mind, if he gets a new trial, that's going to be a major issue for those that are opposed to Carmelo Anthony, because keep in mind, listen, he could be offered a plea deal. One of the things that I heard that Toby Shook, who I actually witnessed in court for the trial, I felt he was halfway decent, honestly, right? He had a Matlock type of flow. Now, I'm used to seeing people like Brian Steele, Mark Agnifilo, Wes Moreland operate at a very high level. But as far as Texas was concerned, I felt like Shook, right? Attorney Shook was pretty decent of an attorney, okay? So we just have to see how all of this is going to really play out today, because he could, if he gets a new trial. Now, from what my team is saying, that Russell Wilson is like top tier. They said he's like the Muhammad Ali among lawyers, right? So that tells you he must be one heavy hitting guy. Now, even before all of this happened, when I had a discussion with Calvin Johnson, keep in mind, he's an attorney that operates right there in the Collin County Courthouse. He mentioned Russell Wilson. In fact, he was the one who encouraged them to use Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson is known to be the best in the appeals arena down in Texas. So imagine what's going to happen now if he gets a new trial, he gets a plea deal, and then the announcement goes out in the media that instead of getting 35 years, it's been reduced to 15 or 5. People are going to go bananas. That's just how this thing is going to work, right? But it's one step at a time. But the yes to a new trial is going to open a door, especially because we did see agitators that were at the courthouse even this time around. I know I witnessed some for the actual trial, but this is how this life works, because everybody wants to be a star on the internet. So keep that in mind. And lo and behold, if for some reason he was to be fully freed without any time, my heavens, you can only imagine what people who oppose Carmelo Anthony, what they're going to think. But this sets the pace for a change to come, because the defense has brought up some major reasons as to why Carmelo Anthony did not have a fair trial. Whether you believe it or not, I'll leave that between you and your space. But they made arguments that definitely were at a very high level. Let's get back to Jeff Metcalf and try to understand his position about his son, especially with all the negative press that came out in regards to him as well, because they originally painted him as being a pretty good kid, like an angel, right?
That's what, and this foundation, because I'll be honest, when I left today, I was very angry when I left court. Well, one of the things I'm teaching with this foundation is impulse control, you know, and de-escalation. And
So he's teaching de-escalation, impulse control. Think about that. This is what I want you to focus on.
to regulate your emotions. Well, it took me 15 minutes today driving home to get my emotions in check. I can understand how people can make a split-second decision, and it can be the wrong one. And it can put someone in a grave or someone in a cell. And that's why this foundation is why I started it, the Hunter Metcalf Foundation. So we don't have situations like this. So people don't feel like I feel today. Because I'm telling you as a parent, you don't ever want to feel this pain, and nor would I wish this upon my worst enemy. And to sit there and watch my son be dragged through the mud again today, the same stuff that was said for 14 months, if you want to try to assassinate character, do what you think is right, but at the end of the day, the facts are very simple.
Now, this was filmed a couple of days ago, and I want you guys to understand, as of today on social media, I saw a post between allegedly him and Dominique, right, in regards to a matter. And again, it seems like there's a need for impulse control because what I read was not pleasant. So obviously this case, emotions are running high, but I saw some things in writing, allegedly involving him and another guy in regards to this case that did not speak on good impulse control. And when you think about your kids, right, when do you start teaching them about impulse control? That's a very good question. Do you wait until they're up in age, or do you have to teach this along the way?
He stabbed an unarmed child to death. And that's it. End of story. You can make up whatever color, whatever happened. Whatever happened 4, 5, 6 years ago had nothing to do with what happened that day underneath that tent.
Jeff, what do you think of the prospect of a new trial?
To be honest, I'll say the same thing as I said yesterday. It's 50-50. It's either going to be granted or denied. I'm fine with either one. So I don't put a whole lot of thought process into that. I'm really putting a lot of thought process because this whole week has kind of put me on hold and not being able to work with my foundation. My foundation is my purpose, my mission. This is what's going to save lives. This is what's going to keep this from happening again. I just want to touch other people's lives and change the world one person at a time. If I can save one life, I'm a success. But if I can't, I'm a failure.
Listen, I think that the judgment is in the effort, brother, not in the outcomes. If you're trying to help people and you're trying to help them de-escalate in the ways that you say that the AMF is going to be about, the effort is the standard.
Okay, so I want you guys to keep this in mind. All right, now we're just going to briefly take a look at Austin based on what he just implied in regards to his son. Then we're going to take a look at Carmelo, and then we're going to bring on our guests who were actually in the courtroom. And I'm just going to give them the floor and let them tell you all the things that came out in court. So let's check this out. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Explosive evidence kept from the jury that convicted Carmelo Anthony, now taking center stage as the Texas teen fights for a new trial after being found guilty of fatally stabbing 17-year-old Hunter Metcalf at a high school track meet. Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Banderas in New York.
And I'm Bill Malugin here in Washington. Julie, great to be with you as we roll into hour number 2 here. John and Sandra have the day off. This is America Reports. Both sides in this case are now revealing some really damaging evidence they agreed to keep from the jury as part of a gentleman's agreement. That includes text messages that prosecutors say show Anthony fantasizing about stabbing somebody, the defense resting earlier today before the state took the unusual step of putting its own lead prosecutor on the witness stand.
We have Fox team coverage for you. Donna Rotuno joins us just in moments right here in New York City. But first,
we send it out to correspondent Garrett Tenney, joining us live outside of the courthouse in McKinney, Texas. Hi, Garrett.
Yeah, Bill and Julie, a lot of folks were surprised when Carmelo Anthony.
Guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe, hit the hearts. Also, I want to take a quick moment and tell you guys, go back and check out the video I did last night about Gary, Indiana. A lot of people are suffering. They don't have power. I think we're at least over 11 or 12 days. People can't have a hot shower. There's just so much involving that. Please go check out our show from last night and see if we can collectively do something to help the people in Gary, Indiana that are going through hell. All right. Thank you.
He didn't take the stand in his own defense back in June. And today we got a bit more insight into how and why that happened. This morning in court, one of Anthony's original defense attorneys, Toby Shook, testified that towards the end of the trial, we very much still wanted Carmelo to testify because we thought that was the only way the jury could see. That is why he used deadly force. Shook said that self-defense argument was important because they felt like they could convince the jury to go with a manslaughter conviction instead of murder. But after there was a breakdown over that unwritten agreement for both sides not to introduce any character evidence, Shook said Anthony didn't trust that prosecutors would keep their word if he took the stand and ultimately chose not to do it. Here's Jonathan Turley weighing in on that decision.
In reality, the motions for a new trial, in my view, are fairly anemic. One of the arguments is that I would have testified, but my lawyers really didn't fully advise me on this stuff. That's going to be hard to make out.
We've learned that one reason both sides wanted to keep all of that character evidence out, Anthony's text about wanting to stab someone and Hunter Metcalf's school disciplinary record, is because of how heated things were over this case in the public and the race of those individuals who were involved. And that's not something either side wanted to throw gas on. Just a little bit ago, the lead prosecutor, Bill Werski, testified about the threat environment around this case, saying people on both sides were going to work trying to get addresses for doxing. The Anthony's address.
Guys, share this stream on your social media, any place you can. Bring more awareness to this case as the verdict will probably fall today.
Was out. Judge Tucker's address was out. The volume, validity, and legitimacy of the death threats was unprecedented in my experience and in the law enforcement here's experience. This hearing is expected to finish by the end of today, but we are told that the judge is not expected to be making
Try to send the stream to at least 5 people. Thank you very much.
A ruling on whether or not Anthony will get a new trial in court today. That's going to be issued via an email announcement at some point over the next few days. Bill and Julie.
All right, Garrett Tenney reporting.
So it's going to be an email announcement. I want you guys to keep in mind. So it's not like everybody's going back to court on Monday for an answer. Monday is actually the deadline in order to get this accomplished. The reason why they said it was delayed, take a wild guess. Why do you think this whole arrangement of trying to get the hearing done? Guess why? You guys tell me in the comment section, right? One Love is back. All right. Thank you, One Love. You know why? Because they said that the Judge Roach had it in his chambers. He had the file on lockdown under seal in order even for the attorney, according to, this is what we're hearing, Russell Wilson, in order for him to access it, he had to make a few agreements, right? He couldn't say certain things or what have you. There's just so much involving this case that just doesn't pass the smell test. We wonder why, right? Right? We have to wonder about this. Thank you guys for all of your comments and so forth, but let's get back to it. We're about to bring on our guest in a few minutes.
Live outside the courthouse in McKinney, Texas this afternoon. Garrett, thank you. Julie?
Okay, we've got Fox News contributor Donna Rotuno here in studio with us. Okay, first, let's just talk about the damning evidence that was not subjected.
How do you hold a file to the final hour? How is that fair? How do you hold the file to the final hour. Somebody tell me in the comments. You guys are quite intelligent. How is that appropriate for law?
To the jury, and that are those text messages.
So yes, on both sides. There were text messages sent by the accused here, Carmelo Anthony, the convicted person in this case. And
Okay, the Mac, says he doesn't deserve a new hearing. He committed murder, period. All right. Thank you for your
he
comment.
sent text messages
One Love says that Carmelo is coming home. Sweet home, Alabama.
regarding stalking his girlfriend. His girlfriend had gone to the school that day claiming that he had been stalking her. He said, "I'm low-key ready to lose it," or something along those lines. So that's very damaging in terms of his state of mind that day. Because remember, they tried to paint this.
Now, that's going to be very serious. Let's not get it twisted. That's a serious factor. The girlfriend was actually in court, though, so it looks like she might be a witness. If he gets a new trial, perhaps she'll be a witness in favor of Carmelo Anthony. It appears that they're still together in some format.
As this sort of snap decision, he was in this tent and that he wouldn't think about what he was doing, and then the
Randall says he's coming home unless it's in a box. He's not coming home. Randall, geez. You've been watching too many of those Western movies.
prosecutor said, well, he was reaching into this backpack, had his hand on a knife, so it was premeditated. And obviously those text messages go to his state of mind that day. So those would have been damaging.
I want to talk about the prosecution's texts that they revealed. Anthony wrote about stabbing someone, like you just said, but I want to just actually quote his text messages because these are extremely disturbing. He wrote, "and licking the blood off the blade." Also, another text message sent hours before the killing saying that he was low-key on the verge. This would have been critical evidence to be presented toward the jury. I understand that they had a gentleman's agreement. I don't understand why there would be a gentleman's agreement in a case such as this with such damning evidence.
Well, I think that's the issue, right? So first of all, was there agreement? What was the agreement? What were the terms of that agreement? Because normally in cases, a lot of this.
John says a new trial sure gonna prove it was premeditated. Thank you, John, for your comment.
Character evidence does not come in depending on what happens in a pretrial posture. So judges will rule.
Jacqueline says, bring home the young king.
On certain things that can or cannot come in. And I think what they decided was they didn't want to make this about other issues other than what happened inside of that tent, which frankly was actually nice of the prosecutors because I think that information is very helpful in terms of his state of mind. Now, there were other things in terms of Hunter Metcalf and some of the things he had done. And so maybe they thought in a balancing test, it was fair to just leave all of it out. However, the problem becomes that agreement has to do with.
Put a 1 in the chat if you think this new information that came out that was under the umbrella of the gentleman's deal. Put a 1 in the chat if you think those items are going to make it even harder for Carmelo Anthony to have a better trial. Put a 2 if you think not. Let's see what you guys have to say.
The prosecutor's case in chief is my guess, right? The prosecutor's thinking, we're not going to put this in. But the minute the accused, Carmelo Anthony, takes the witness stand, that should not be a reason then to not bring that up because you're opening the door. So therefore, it's fair game.
All right. Most people feel like these text messages about licking blood and all that is going to have him pretty much in a worse situation than he was or he's currently in. More 1s are coming in than 2s. All right. Thank you guys for your comments.
If he testifies, I'm this nice, peaceful guy that's never had a problem, well, then they should have a right to then go into those things that he said on that day.
I mean, the defense basically turned the tables, though, and they basically claimed race, violence, racial slurs made by Metcalf. So now the defense says, look, had we not had this deal in place, we would have put our client on the stand. I don't know if that's necessarily the greatest idea, though. I mean, would you have wanted to see him on the stand if you were his defense?
Well, I think the only option they had, I have been talking about this for months since it started. I was very surprised, given the way the evidence came in. I thought the only chance they had
was to paint him as having a good character.
Or to have him get on the stand and say, how he felt in that moment.
How do you justify those text messages?
Well,
though?
that's the problem, and that's why I think they decided not to put him on, because if I'm the defense attorney, and obviously we didn't know about any of this, right?
No.
Had I known about this,
and the
maybe,
jurors didn't, and they should have.
absolutely. Well, and they still convicted him,
Right.
So I.
Do you guys think the jurors should have heard about all of this stuff in regards to Carmelo Anthony? Put a yes in the chat. Put a no if you don't think so. I really want to know what each and every one of you have to think about this case.
I guess the question becomes, to what end are you hoping that this happens? If he gets a new trial, now the evidence
Matt says, put Hunter on the stand.
against him is just worse. And are they believing that because possibly prior statements or actions of Austin Metcalf would come in, would that in some way mitigate what Carmelo Anthony did? It just doesn't make sense, because if you look at Carmelo Anthony maybe didn't know those things about Austin Metcalf. So if he didn't know, then how would that have affected his decision in that?
Or
in
do
that
they
moment?
believe that
See, here's the problem. This is where they're speculating, right? Everybody's speculating, but I was actually at the trial. I will tell you this. You really can't say, because they had this big altercation where Austin lost his life, right? But 10 days prior to that, Eddie testified that basically him and Carmelo were both together on the field, chatting together. In fact, Toby Shook put the picture up on the big stage, showing that they were sitting together. They seemed to be having the time of their lives, right? Eddie tried to skirt around it a little bit. But then you have to keep in mind, if they were together at the track meet and Eddie and the twins are on the same team, then it's reasonable that the twins and Carmelo have been in the same zone before, right? Eddie, Carmelo at the same event. So you know the twins are there. And based on the testimony and the statements that have been made at the hearing, you see that they had a certain persona and a way of doing business and living their lives that sometimes it involved shoving a few people around. And that's just to put it lightly.
if they were to have the chance to put him on the stand, that perhaps the sentence would be lessened. So maybe he would still get convicted because there is overwhelming evidence, but he wouldn't serve the 35 years. Maybe.
I'm going to have the twins when they come up. But from what I understand, what I've gathered is that Toby Shook said that when it came to Carmelo's trial, now keep in mind, Toby Shook was the second attorney, right? Toby Shook says that they were just trying to get manslaughter for him. It wasn't even like they were just trying to get him totally free and clear. I think Toby Shook was just trying to say, listen, it wasn't premeditated. So let's keep all of this in mind, because I tried to explain this before and people would get agitated because they're saying, oh, no, it's not even manslaughter. They wanted him to be totally clear, but you had a chance to hear from the actual attorney that was representing him. All right, let's keep going.
Maybe a man.
Guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We're going to cover one more angle in regards to the bad deeds of Austin. Then I'm bringing up the guests. In fact, let me move on now to this next video so you can understand a little bit about their misdeeds as well.
Both prosecutors and the defense in this case presented their case using a motion for a new trial hearing to expose the violent backgrounds of both Anthony and Austin Metcalf.
JD Miles has been in the courtroom all day, and he joins us now live with the latest. JD, there is a lot to unpack here.
There was a private off-the-record agreement between attorneys for Carmelo Anthony and prosecutors to keep the sordid backgrounds of the killer and the victim out of the ear of the jury and the public, to focus solely on the murder trial and what happened under that tent at the Frisco High School track meet last year. But now there's in this motion for a new trial, the background reports are being released, and the defense is going first, releasing 20 pages now of Austin Metcalf's behavioral history. Carmelo Anthony was dressed in a suit and tie for this morning's hearing, which began with the defense arguing that efforts by the trial judge and prosecutors to combat threats and deal with disruptions actually prevented Anthony from getting an open and fair trial. But bombshell testimony came this afternoon from Anthony's trial attorney, Mike Howard, about Austin Metcalf's background report that was never
All right, so pay close attention to Austin's background here.
presented to the jury. CBS News Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of.
Put a 1 in the chat if you think it was essential for the jurors to hear about the behavior of the twins. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 if you think it was not relevant.
Juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school, and in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018, while still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her.
These are females, right? Where do you learn this at, right? Where do you learn to beat females? I want an answer. Where do you learn this type of behavior?
In the stomach. He was also kicked.
Not in the stomach, right? This is very reminiscent of the Diddy trial I went to. A lot of hitting in the stomach. Where do men learn this type of behavior? I want to know.
Out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids." At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone.
I mean, I want you guys to tell me, do boys, are they born with these thoughts about beating girls and punching them in the stomach? Where would a boy learn this type of behavior? I know I'm talking about boys, but we'll leave the girls off the table. In this particular case, girls are being punched in the stomach. Where do you learn that? Is that in your genes? Right? Is it in your genes? Do you learn that? Is it learned behavior? Are you getting it from the internet? Right? We want to know. All of these comments I see coming in, I want you guys to answer that. Where do boys learn this type of behavior? Let's get to it. I really want to know today.
Not on their team, quote, "behind our bench was talking wild," Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF." During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used
Not the B word.
profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2021, he got banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Metcalf also got suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day.
Well,
Bringing a gun to school. My heavens. Okay. So now we start to wonder, did Carmelo happen to know what these boys were capable of doing, right? Now, the father tried to say, "Oh, this happened 10 years ago." No. We have to really go through this. In fact, I'm about to bring on the guests. They're going to show you that this pattern of behavior was actually happening all along the way, all right? All along the way, okay? So it's very important that we put all of this in the proper context and understand, listen, it's not right. And I'm not going to skirt around with what Carmelo did versus what the Metcalf twins did. But we get a chance to see what happens when all of this ill behavior collides, right? And you know the sad part about it, people start to say, well, no, it's all Carmelo. He's the bad one. The other boys, they were angels. And then other people say, okay, you know, the opposite of that, right? Right. But we really need to look at this for the truth of the matter of what it is. Right now, I'm going to bring up my teammates who are actually in court this week. They're going to take their time and go through each day in regards to court and their notes. And I want you to pay attention to what they're saying, because they're going to break this down at a very high level. It's going to be a long show because we have so much ground to cover. But you can also imagine the amount of work it took for them to actually go to court and bring this high power information to you. Let's welcome on the twins. All right, look at here.
Hello. Hello, Mel and Watching the World family. How are you
Yes,
guys?
indeed. Good. We're doing great, but we're so excited to hear from you guys because we want to know We want to know both sides. We want to know what Carmelo was capable of. We want to know also what the twins were. And everybody can come to their own conclusion. I'm going to stay out of your way. As long as you can be heard, I'll pop up sometimes. But this is for you. Take whatever time you need to tell the world what you observed and heard in court. And also tell people what you saw. If you saw someone crying, if you saw someone, whatever you observed. All right. Thank you so much from watching the world. It's nice to have you guys on the team, and it's amazing to hear from you. Let's go.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. As Mel said, this is my twin. She's D and I'm J. We did spend a significant amount of time at the courthouse for these proceedings. On day one, we arrived there around 7 o'clock, and so we were able to get into the overflow room. We had a different view. We experienced some issues, and we can share that with you guys. But for the remaining 2 days to come, we were actually able to get inside of the main courtroom where we can see the families, we can see Carmelo, we can see the judge, we can see the prosecutor, and we can see Russell and his team as they all go head to head, toe to toe to straighten this thing out, or bring some facts to the table, address this issue, and see how do we get it resolved. Like Mel said, we have a lot of information, you guys. We went there with tablets, and I ran out of paper in my first one, and I had to get another tablet, so bear with us. Understand that when you're in court, you have to be able to multitask. So you need to be able to listen as well as view and then write. So you're not going to be able to capture everything, because while you're trying to listen to what they're saying, when you go and you write this, they moved on to another point. So understand that while you're taking your break and you're writing your notes, the trial never stops. They continue to do what they're doing. So we tried to be as accurate as we could be. We wrote down a lot as I was hearing it. We wrote down a lot, and I just want to share it with you guys. Forgive us if at points we jump from one point to another, but we were documenting everything as it came. And what we didn't capture on the second day, or what we did capture on the second day, may relate to what happened on the first day, which was in regards to the recusal, and the day before. So we're going to share that information with you guys. We just ask that you be patient with us, and we're happy to be here. All right. So I'm going to start from day one, from the recusal. I'm going to start from the overflow room, just because I want to get the information out. One of the officers in the room, he made this statement. He said, "This is not something the court is required to do, first come, first serve." And I found that interesting, because the reason that we are here, today, the reason Russell is asking for a new trial for Carmelo is simply because this was closed off, to the public. The public was not simply because, I shouldn't say that because that's undermining it, but because the public was restricted access to this trial. And so here, starting with this one, you had one of the officers that say this is not something the court is required to do. So are you or are you not? He said that there were questions about the bathroom breaks and leaving and not being allowed back in. All right, they said previously at the previous trials, they were told, if you have to get up and use the restroom or something without a break, you wouldn't be allowed to come back in. And D. Tiffany Billions, as many of you may know, I'm pretty sure you have, she stood up and she said, I just want to put this on the record. She said, "I'm hearing you say, in regards to the breaks and things, people cannot leave, or that you can leave, but if you leave, you will not be allowed back in here until, there's another break." She said that this rule was brought up about not being allowed to leave and come back is being kept. She said, although it was struck down by Sid Rollins. So basically she's saying this is one of the factors that was a problem. This was problematic in the previous case, right? Yet here we are again. We're trying this for a second time around, and you guys are continuing to keep one of the same rules that was struck down by Sid Rollins. I notated that the audio was not clear. in the overflow room, you guys. It sounded like someone had a cup over their mouth and you couldn't hear them talking. This is what the audio sounded like when we were trying to hear. So it was very difficult in there, and it kind of caused some friction because you have these people, we're happy, we're satisfied, right? We get into the overflow room. We may not be in the main courtroom, but we're in the overflow room. This is, second best. Let's get it. And now we can't hear. So what this is going to do is cause problems for people to want to try and come out and stand in line to see the trial. As the Judge Roach said, if people wanted to see the trial, they could have stood in line. So with the people being allowed access into the overflow room, you still have this audio. Well, you have this audio issue, and not only that, our TV screens went out at certain times, and we were wondering what happened. Sometimes we felt like it was by design because we could see all the way up until this point, and then boom, it goes out. I notated a lot of that. But with those issues, you're going to create a frantic state. People are going to begin now rushing down here to get on the court grounds, standing in this line at early hours, wee hours of the morning, just to be able to get into the main courtroom, which is what me and my twin had to result in doing, because I said, I don't want to be in the overflow. The overflow. Me and my twin said, no, we can't do that. We'd rather be in the main courtroom, no matter the circumstance, I want to say. So if we had to wake up at 2 a.m, we had to wake up at 2 a.m, be dressed and ready by 3 to be on the court grounds at 3:30 and stand in line until 6 o'clock, so be it. I want to be in the main courtroom. I want to hear this for myself. I want to see and have access to what we did not have access to before at the previous trial. I notated that the TV above us was not on. So from the beginning, you guys, we had this TV to the left of us. It was this one big TV. We did have a TV in the back that was backed by what looks like it could have been, the bench for the judge. You had a TV over here for the section to the right. You had a TV right above us where we were sitting at. And then you had, again, reverting back to what I said, the one right here. But the only one that was on for us to look at was the one that was to the side. So you had people, trying to sit up and see different things like that. We asked, the guard if they could make some modifications, if those monitors were able to come on, if they were able to adjust the audio or improve the audio so that we could be able to, hear better. And he basically said that it was already set up and he didn't want to mess with it. This is the response that we got from him. And, this one that I'm referring to, this is the same one where we were all outside before we got into the overflow room. I just want to give you guys an idea of their attitude towards us. It was not everyone. I'm not going to lie and say that it was, because some of them, they were friendly. But this particular one right here, I think this it was amusing to him, because when we were in the hallway, we were lined up, where all of the pictures are of all of the non-Black people. All the pictures on the wall, you see no African American on that wall at all. I mean, this is a long hallway from this end to this end, and we cannot find a picture of a Black person. I think these are pictures of officials, judges or things. I'm not sure, because I don't go into their history, but just we're out here in the hall, we're lined up. We started creating our own line because people were asking. This is day one, you guys. This is for the recusal. They're asking, what's the process? What do we do? Do we get a number? Are you guys giving us tickets? Like, do we just sit here? When do we line up? And they basically said, I don't know. This is what they kept saying. They said, I don't know. And so standing there, the women, I think there were some women that were asking him questions, and somewhere it came about that only 60 people or something would be allowed in or something. So you know what that did? Created chaos where people start to form their own lines. Now they're like, I know I was here before anybody else, and I'm getting in here, blase, blase, blase. But one of the things that same guard said when he came into the hallway, he said, listen up, everybody. Well, you can tell it because my sister will tell it for you. He said, listen up. We do not allow, electronic devices, cell phones, Apple Watches, None of that is allowed in the courtroom. We're not going to hold it for you. We're not going to hold it. So you can take it back to your vehicle or whatever if you don't want to trash it. Yeah, that was his delivery. And we found that, very, discerning in a way, because as a professional, there are certain ways that you can, say things. If it was you, what type of delivery would you have given? I would have said, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen." Morning. It was morning. I mean, yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you all have electronic devices, cell phones, Apple Watches, Meta glasses, what have you, they are not allowed in the courtroom. We kindly ask that you take them back to your vehicle because we're not allowed to hold them for you. We can't be responsible for you guys' personal belongings, but you can take them back to your vehicle. That was the proper delivery. But all of that, if you don't want to trash it or throw it in the trash, that was a bit much. Yeah, that was a bit much. But you could have just said, you guys can take it back to your vehicles because they're not allowed in, and we're not allowed to hold them for you guys. We can't hold your belongings. We're not going to be responsible. We can't be responsible. And you could have delivered it that way. Yeah. In fact, the days coming afterwards, when the other people announced it, they didn't announce it that way. No. We had a Hispanic guy that came and announced it one time. His delivery was completely different. We had this female that was on that same end down there. She delivered it differently. So, you still have people, behind those positions that, this is amusing to them. And he stood there with this smirk on his face. He's just standing there with this smirk on his face as if it was funny, but it's not funny. This is not funny. This is a joke to you. Like you find amusement in this, but it's not funny, because who wants to throw their things in the garbage? Right. Like who wouldn't just walk back to their vehicle? It's right outside in the parking lot. Who wouldn't walk back to their vehicle and put their belongings in their vehicle? Who wants to just walk over here and just throw it in the trash? Right. And then I'm going to say something else in regards to this, and then we'll get into the facts. I'm just giving you guys, an idea of the type of environment that we're in, okay? There are signs outside the courthouse, inside the courthouse. As a matter of fact, when I had my own personal business at that same court, okay? It was not related to this, but I had my own personal business. I was sitting inside on the bench outside, and I was waiting to go into court. And my sister and I, we like to take pictures together. And so she was taking my pictures and I was trying to take hers. One of the guards actually walked by us and said, you can't take pictures in the courthouse. And we laughed, right? Because we didn't see, the signs that they have posted up for Carmelo. We didn't see those, posted around. And I laughed because we thought that he was joking. And he's like, no, I'm serious. So he told us that we couldn't take pictures, but that on day one, when we were going into the overflow room, this lady, she got put out. And I think it was because she had her phone up or something like this, like she was recording. I don't know what happened, but she got put out of the courtroom that same, the courthouse, not the room, the courthouse, and she was not able to come back in. We hadn't even gone in yet. She was a black female. I marched with her in regards to this. But what's crazy is, in this same day, right, I'm standing in front of this other African-American female, this black lady, and she goes, "Why is he taking our picture? What is he doing? Why is he taking our picture?" And I said, "Who?" She said, "That man right there, he just took our picture." And she said, "I'm about to tell on him." So we're in line at this point, and they're giving us a little trays to put our things in to have them searched. And she asked one of the guards, she says, "Excuse me, sir." She said, "Why is that man right there taking our picture?" You want to know what he said? What I heard him say, what I heard him mumble? "I don't know, ask him." And so I looked at him, and then the one beside him, there was another guard beside him, because there are two right here that are going through everyone's things. He said, "You got it?" And then he said, "Well, yeah, I can get it." So he goes over to the white guy. The white guy has a backpack. He has his phone in his hand. He goes over to ask him, I guess, why did you take their picture? Why are you taking? I don't know what he communicated with him, but when he came back over, do you want to know what he said? He said, he said he was just taking a general picture. He didn't specify. It was just a general picture. Are you fucking kidding me? Because the picture is not the problem. It's the device is. It's the device. This other lady just had her device. She got kicked out of here, and they said that it was because of her phone, because she was recording, because she was taking pictures, because she had her phone doing all of that. But if she took a picture or she recorded, and she got put out. Why didn't he? Why didn't he? He just told you. He basically admitted to you, yeah, I did it, but it was just a general picture. Well, when I was sitting on the bench taking a general picture, right? I wasn't here for Carmelo Anthony. I was here for myself. Taking a general picture, I was told that I couldn't do that. Okay? So, you know, these are problems. They may be minor, but they are things that you should not look over, because this gives the context and this gives the insight to the type of energy and the people that we're dealing with. Again, it's not everybody. We can't say that it's everybody, but you still have those individuals in this environment. Okay? So I just wanted to put that stuff out because I feel like it was important. No, even as we were outside, in the line for the main courtroom, you had the gentleman come out, single file line. And I'm like, this is just this is just a joke to you guys. I'm like, you guys, you feed off of that power, off of that authority. Mm-hmm. Single file line. Instead of saying, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, can I get you guys to form a single file line so that I can pass out the passes to you guys? Thank you. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the way that you deliver your messages. Yeah. He's just hollering, single file line, just walking back and forth, and everybody just moving. And, you know, it gave me like horses, like the movie Life. Yeah. Like it gave me like that kind of tone. That's what it gave me. I was like, really? Is this how you guys really deliver your messages? And so, you know, everybody is running, get in their line, because they all got out of line, you know, and start mingling with each other. But everybody's just trying to get in their line and find single file line. That's all you kept hearing. I was like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna, you know, comply so that we can get our spots, get our tickets, and then we can go back and come back to the courthouse. We got up early. We didn't do it for nothing. We're gonna be here for Carmelo, so it is what it is. Just don't push back. That's what they want, so that you can be stripped. So just comply. And then while we're talking about things that we noticed at the courthouse, I'm gonna say this last thing. I know I said that there was something else that was the last thing was the last thing, but I want to say this too, because once we get into all of this information, it may get lost, and I don't want it to. There was this woman on day 2. She was inside of the main courtroom. And she was, you know, one of the ones that actually got into the overflow room with us on the first day. Well, this time she made it inside of the main courtroom. And I don't know what they were saying. I wasn't paying attention to everyone around me, but I was trying to pay attention to the important people around me. I was trying to pay attention to the family, their demeanor. You know, look at the judge, look at the attorneys, listen to the questions, write the answers down. But the lady, I don't know what she was doing, but when we came out of the court, she was upset. And she said, he punched me. He hit me. And we said, who? And she said, that guard. He came up to me and he punched me on my arm and told me to stop shaking my head. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. So basically she told us what happened was, I guess in court she was shaking her head or something, in emotion or something. And he came up to her and he hit her and told her to stop shaking her head. And she asked him, why'd you punch me? And I don't know what his response was, but she said he came back up to her and said, you want me? You want me? And she said she just didn't, you know, feed into it because she didn't want to get escalated. She seems like she's a very humble, very peaceful lady who tries to keep the peace. And so I found that alarming because, you know, inside the courthouse, they have rules, you guys. You can't, there are certain things that you know, you can and you cannot do. If they say, you know, no nodding your head or shaking your head. In fact, Jeff Metcalf was one of the people that they talked about in the previous trial where it looked like he was leading the witnesses when he was, you know, making head motions and, you know, shaking. So they don't want you doing that type of stuff in court. And, you know, be that as it may, if she was doing that, there is a process for you, sir. It's not for you to come up and, you know, hit anyone like this. Even if you had to tap her, that was fine. But for you to, you know, hit her and tell her to stop, all you had to do was, you know, tap her and say, ma'am, that's not allowed. Or if you wanted to use your authority and there was grounds for you to get her out of the courtroom, you could have done that. But not you come over here and hit her. And then he told her, I didn't punch you. I hit you with my phone. That's what he said. I didn't punch you. I hit you with my phone. So. And by the way, this is the same officer that was outside yelling, single file line. He is the one that did that to her. And she was like, he punched me. And I said, you know, well, you have a mouthpiece, sir. You could have said, excuse me, ma'am, that's not allowed. If I catch you nodding your head again, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You know, it's your delivery of how you deliver things to people. And she said, well, you know, if even my phone, then that's assault. And she was really afraid to even open her mouth and say anything. She was even afraid to go and tell anybody that he punched her or hit her with his phone, as he claimed. She was too afraid to even say anything. She was just like, you know, I'm just gonna deal with it. I don't want any trouble. Let me address this comment right here that says we ain't got to complain about everything, but it's our right to report things that are not right. We don't have to complain about everything, and neither do you. And you don't have to comment on everything either, sir. You can keep your opinion to yourself as well. Just as you feel like we don't have to complain about everything, you don't have to make a comment about everything. Thank you. All right, ma'am. So we're gonna get to the information inside of the courthouse. How dare you tell somebody what they can complain or can't complain about? Who do you think you are? You guys are a trip. All right, so we're in at this moment. We see Carmelo being brought in. This is day one, you guys. I know that I was talking a lot. I just wanted to give you guys a context of what we saw, what we witnessed. But day one, we're in the overflow room. We're waiting for them to bring Carmelo in. They bring him in for the very first time. He was in a green jumpsuit. He was cuffed with chains around his waist. You can't go. You can't. Well, don't you want to be bold? You bold enough to say it, right? You putting it so people can see it. So if you're gonna address me, then address me. No, don't back down. Don't cower away. That's what you guys like to do a lot. You like to start shit and then you like to run. But I'm telling you, I'm here for it. I'm there one. Okay, the two is dose. I thought you wanted to highlight it. You put it up there. Yeah, this. You know what? I've seen Mel ask y'all to come forward a lot of times. Come talk about it. Let's talk about it. Come to the front. You like to hide and tuck your tails and say what you're going to say behind the keyboard. Yeah, we know y'all like to use that tactic. But yeah, we got these mouths. We're going to use them. It's a right. Now take that. Anywho, because I ain't the one. Anywho. Or the two. Yeah. It's those. They brought Carmelo in. He was in a green jumpsuit. He was cuffed. They had the chains around his waist, you guys, so you can see, you know, how it was. We could see a lot of his chest area, and there were some conflicting statements. So the people in the main courtroom, they felt like he looked like he had picked up some weight, you know, like he's been eating well, or like he's gained weight. But in our view, all of us in there felt like he looked like he lost weight. Maybe it was the big jumpsuit that they had on him. I don't know, because his jumpsuit, it was open right here, yeah, and you can see his chest structure. So like with the different rooms in the overflow room, you had the advantage to see the front view. You could see the front view and things. In the main courtroom, you could only see like the back view, you know. So there was an advantage to having both views, and we got a chance to experience both of them. But in the overflow room, he had this jumpsuit on, and it was open right here, so it looks like he was like scrawny. He looks like he's losing weight. You know, he looks like he's dropped a couple of pounds. And so when we got outside to mingle with each other, like, hey, how are things going for you guys over in there? They said, oh no, it looks like he's gained weight. We said, oh, because to us in there, it looks like, you know, he's lost weight. So, you know, that was the difference in the rooms, but we got a chance to experience both of them. Yeah. On our view, we were able to see that he was smiling. So that is factual. I heard, you know, I've seen some conflicting statements around that. People were saying he wasn't smiling. He did, you guys. He smiled. And I'm going to tell you, when he did smile on that first day, it drew tears from people. People are so invested, you know, in this. This is very emotional for not only, you know, the Anthony family, but everyone else, because we can relate. We are there, and it's more than about, you know, the skin color. It's just about the history of this. You know, people are tired. And, you know, that was one of the things I documented next right here. I said, you know, people were emotional at the sight of him. You know, they were crying real tears. In fact, the lady beside me, she just kept saying, Jesus, Jesus. It was so emotional, you guys, seeing him for the first time, because we haven't seen him, right? They took him in a previous trial. They took him and locked him away, immediately shaved his head, you know, all within 24 hours. So just seeing him again for the first time, it just gave us hope. It gave us, you know, some sort of relief to see him, actually be able to lay eyes on him and see that he's okay. You know, he's actually doing well. I notated that Kayla and Drew were diagonally to the right behind him. Again, I wrote at the top that the sound quality was poor. On the first day, where Michael Ware asked for the cuffs to be removed from Carmelo because, again, remember I said he had chains around his waist, on his arms, and they had him, I guess they wanted that picture to be like that. They wanted him to come out like that to set the tone or to make a statement in a certain way. I feel like that because on the days to follow, he didn't come in like that. He didn't come in like that at all. But he asked for the cuffs to be removed, and they removed them. People were happy that they got removed. You could feel the excitement in the overflow room on that day. Russell asked to publish the 18-minute video of the Judge Roach. So, guys, this is one of the things that led us here for the Dream Team to request the recusal, because Judge Roach went and he did an 18-minute interview, giving his opinions and things, and that was a clear violation. I'm pretty sure because he has been recused. He was recused from that, but the 18-minute video was getting ready to be published. Worski, the prosecutor, he said, well, the court has already read the transcripts, so I don't think they need to show it, but no objections. If you have no objections, what was the point of you stating that? Okay? If you have no objections, what is the point of you saying what you think and don't think? The objection is that's your formal way to say what you think, right? So if you don't object, then why are you saying this? But at 9:18 a.m., the screen went out. And the video of Judge Rush was being played. The last thing that we heard was, it's going to be a video played. And then we're sitting here, we have video, right? We're looking at Carmelo, we're looking at the lawyers, and boom, the TV goes out. So now people are looking around like, what the hell? What happened? And, people are feeling like, did they do that intentionally? Because right after Worski says, well, they don't need to show it, but I don't object. Then the sound, then we can only hear the sound and no video. So on that first day, people thought that it was deliberate, but as I spoke to some people that were in the main courtroom, not that same day, it wasn't until the next day that I was able to verify that they actually didn't have the visual video either. They could hear the sound, but they didn't show the visual video, which I don't understand why they didn't show the visual video, because it was public, right? It was made public. And we also had women in the overflow room with us that had never seen this video before, you guys. We've seen it. We've laid eyes on Judge Roach. And, maybe some people have seen pictures of him. Maybe they haven't. But in this moment, we still don't see this video. We can only hear the audio. And again, the audio was muffled. I gave you guys an example of what it sounded like. The gentleman messing with the TV was considered to be the IT man. Tiffany Billions asked if we were supposed to be able to see. Are we supposed to be able to see the video? And I find it interesting that those people who were giving us, they were trying to give us an explanation as for what was going on. They never told us that it was because the main courtroom didn't have a video. They told us that there was some technical difficulty going on in the main courtroom, and this is why we weren't able to see it. They also said that, well, when they're playing this video, it can't be shown at the same time. The video feed to the courtroom and the video feed of this can't be shown at the same time or something like that. But they never clarified and said that the main courtroom, they don't have video of this. They're only listening to sound. And so this is why you guys are only hearing sound. It wasn't until the next day, remember, that I talked to someone that was in the main courtroom and they said, oh, we didn't have video. Okay. So, that shows how in sync they are. You want us to be in sync I'm outside, right? In a single file line. You want everything to be orderly, but yet you guys aren't on the same pages and you can't deliver and, give people a piece of understanding, because the speculations are going to come. People are going to start saying things, and then you're going to say that people are looking for a reason just to, create a problem or, report misinformation, when it's your guys' job to provide the clarity. So I just, want to speak on that. Problem with the cameras in the main courtroom. TV is out because video is being shown in the main courtroom and cannot be shown in overflow at the same time. I documented it. I said audio sounds like someone speaking with a cup over their mouth. I documented that. The audio experts that were sitting in front of me, I don't want to say their names on here because they're already receiving backlash, but I asked her, she's an audio expert, right? She does this. She's able to listen and determine what's being said, with their ears. They also use, certain equipment and things, but we didn't have that equipment this time. So we only could rely on our ears. And I asked her, can you hear? Are you able to hear what they're saying? Can you make out what they're saying? Even they couldn't. So this gives you an idea of the quality of the sound that we had on the very first day. I can't tell you what the sound was like on the days afterwards. I did hear that people said it was improved, but I wasn't there. I only know how it was when I was there, and that was on the first day. The video went out. The TV went out at 9:18. It is now 9:36, and the TVs come back on. So this is when, I guess, the 18-minute video ends, and now we can see the courtroom again. 2 more TVs came on at 9:40. So we got access to 2 more TVs. I believe it was the one to the far right for the people sitting over there, and it was the one at the back by the judge's seat or the chambers. The one above us, it was still not on. When the evidence is shown, the TVs go out again. So this is again, in the overflow room, while they're showing the evidence, our TVs go out. I said this creates chaos. People were already here at 5 a.m. With the overflow room being problematic, this will create a rush for tomorrow for people to get in the main courtroom. I put that note here, and that's what I was speaking to. We're sitting in here and we're taking this as the second best option, but when we have problems in here too and it's not good enough, what does that create? People they're going to start coming down here early in the morning, earlier than they came today, and you're going to see a rush because everyone wants to be in the main courtroom. At this point, the overflow room isn't even, up to par. So we want to be in the main courtroom. They began, and we were able to see exhibit, I think, let's just say this. I think Russell started with 3B10. A judge shall abstain from public comment about a pending or impeding proceeding. So basically, he's saying that interview that Roach did, he shouldn't have done it according to the ethics. This case was still pending. You guys knew that Carmelo was filing for an appeal. I think it had already been filed, I think the next day. So you knew that this was a continuance. You knew that there was more to come from this case. So all of your comments about what happened, how you feel like the jury got it right, how you feel like you controlled the crowd of the courtroom, and how this should be an example of how cases should be tried, all of that should have never taken place, because according to the ethics, a judge shall abstain from public comment about a pending or impending process. Let's see. I made note that he did this 2 days after the verdict and the defendant's notice of appeal and the court's appointment of counsel. I also made a note that it was 28 days before the deadline to file a motion for a new trial. So, all of this is basically, it just goes to show that there was still time for this to be, this case was still in action. It wasn't closed. It wasn't closed off. They weren't happy with the verdict that was given. They seen that from day one, and you go out and you make comments, and it just wasn't ethical, not of a judge. One of the other things that Judge Roach said was, if they wanted to see the trial, they could have stood in line. And, people did that. We did it this time as well. And that still didn't, warrant the amount of people who wanted to see the trial. Did you want a parade outside? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that if people wanted to see the trial, you needed to see a parade of people to see that they wanted to see the trial or stand in line? He said, I struck that balance pretty well. He was referring to, I believe, I think he was referring to the number of people he allowed in, and the nature of the previous trial. I can't say what he was referring to because it wasn't my statement, and I don't have the video right here to even put context to it. But one of the things he said was, I struck that balance pretty well. He said, I'm doing this interview with you to make sure that the people understand how the system works. He also, no, this is where I put that it was asked to increase the volume. He said the IT guy, they asked him to increase the volume. He said he can turn it up a little, but that's all that he can do. Before this, because I did make a statement and say that we were asking about the video and things. This was to that same officer that made that comment outside about throwing the things in the trash. He said it was already set. He didn't want to bother it. He didn't want to touch it because they had already set things. But when the IT guy came, because the TVs and things went out, he told us that he could turn it up a little, but that's all that he could do. The next thing that I documented was before voir dire on May 16, 2025. They showed Russell was using this PowerPoint. He showed the comparing contrast of the space that you had. Before voir dire, you had so many chairs, so many seats, so much space available. And then right next to it on that PowerPoint, they kind of shadowed that out and took the vividness away from the photo and said it was less space and fewer seats after voir dire. When asked about the overflow room, Judge Roach said, what's the point? Okay, this was his response. He said, what's the point of the overflow room? He said, I got 70 seats in my courtroom and I had 200 requests by the media. The interviewer then had to correct him and say, well, the media is the public, because I think he was saying in context to something about, the public and the media, but the interviewer was basically telling him, hey, the public is the media, or the media is the public, either way. He said Canon 2A promotes public confidence in integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Canon 3B10, again, the judge shall abstain from public comment about a pending or impeding proceeding. At 9:50, the upper TV above us came on. So that's when we were actually able to look up, because when you're in the courtroom, you have several seats. You have several rows, I want to say, of people. And can you imagine, I'm 5'1", I'm only 5'1", but can you imagine me sitting behind someone that's 6 feet tall, or even 5'7", 5'8"? It's going to be a lot of this, right? You're going to be doing a lot of this so you can see. And we were only using one TV. Well, we could only see one TV at a point in time. We got access to the other two. One was in the far back and one was on the side for the people to the right. But for the people that are over here, we're all still relying on this one TV to the side. So when the TV, above us came on, we were able to look up and, get better view. And that was at 9:50. OP 209 says, do not publicly debate or defend rulings or impartiality. And that's what Judge Roach did. What he said was, I think the jury got it right. And you were not able to do that. You were not supposed to do that. Whatever you thought should have remained inside of your thoughts. It should have never left your mouth. And that's what brought us here, to basically ask for you to be recused and ask for Carmelo to have another trial. It says, do not comment on a matter that can still be revisited. Going back to what I said, they filed the appeal almost immediately, if not immediately after the verdict. So you knew that this is something that was going to be revisited. You were not within the code. You were out. It was unlawful for you to, to the judges, for you to go in and make that interview. I don't care who wanted it, who wanted to see it, or what you had to say. You were not at grounds to do that, and it was a violation in regards to OP 191. All right. OP 95 on this PowerPoint, the OP 209 and 191 were on the left side, and the OP 95 was on the other side, just to show, compare, and contrast of what's not supposed to be done and what is. At 9:52, the screens went out again. Okay. We lost access to a view. Again, this is 9:52, guys. Court just started at 9 o'clock. I don't even know what time it really started. Russell states this is a murder trial with no retrial. And then he also talked about Roach talking about this on Facebook, right? Again, we're saying that, you cannot comment publicly on something that can be revisited or a continuing case, and you're doing all that. And not only are you doing it to, this media, you went on Facebook and talked about it as well. He also said that the law, the instruction that was given to the jury was incorrect and it was wrong. So he's stating all his cases in point as to, why we are wanting the judge recused. At this point, we flip to Worski. He's going to get up and, give his take on it. And one of the first things that he says when he stands up is, first, let's say, I don't trust PowerPoints. Okay. Keep that in mind that he said, I don't trust PowerPoints, because I'm going to refer back to that statement. He said, I don't know if it's our job or not to defend Judge Roach, but if you ask me, he didn't do anything wrong. He said Judge Roach talks about notion of fairness. He said judges, don't talk to media, but yet Roach did nothing wrong.
There was a point we were trying to make, because Worski was saying, in my eyes, Judge Roach did nothing wrong, yet Judge Roach talked to the media. But you said that back in your day, the judges weren't allowed to talk to the media. They weren't allowed to be on social media. They weren't allowed to do any of that. That's how it was coming up in your day. But yet, Judge Roach did nothing wrong.
Yeah. All right. So when he's speaking, he says, if you know Judge Roach, he will revisit this, right? Basically, he's saying, give him another chance. He'll do the right thing. He'll make it right. If he did make an error, give the guy a shot. Let him make right with what he did wrong. He also referred to the social media influencers, or the independent journalists and things. He said that they were intentionally putting out misinformation. That was one of the arguments that he was presenting. He said some of them are here today, calling out the people. He didn't call their names at this point. But, he was just letting it be known that he noticed them, and he said that they were here today. Also, they said host is what? Taking a... They also said, no, the host actually said that he was going to let us have the floor because we have a lot of information. And even if he is taking a nap, it's okay. But I don't think that he would be, taking a nap while someone is on his platform delivering information that can affect his reputation, okay, or stand for his reputation. So I don't think the host is taking a nap. I think he's just handling things from the back view, if you wanted my intake on that. He said some of them are here today. We've never seen anything. Or were you trying to say we were boring? Is that what you were trying to say? Because we're going to bring out some good shit for you. Now, you stay around, you talking, but we're going to bring out the goods for you. But we just had so many notes, and I want to tell y'all about the environment or what happened. What did he say? Reparations was a great Chappelle sketch. Anywho, he said everything was agreed to by Mr. Anthony and his lawyers. This is one of the things that he says. Keep this in mind. All right. He said they wanted it done this way. He also said something about some skunks being on the courthouse about the judge, and they had to get it removed. I don't remember hearing anything about that. I don't know if you guys did. And he said that it was too bitter of a pill to swallow. Basically saying this is the reason why people are doing this. All in all, I don't think I have to go through all of this. The judge did say that this was a very high bar. He believes that Roach's intent, was to, be fair, but he granted the recusal. So we were able to get the recusal granted. That was it for day one. And
don't let people discourage you. Go through your points. Take your time. Go through it.
Go through my point. Thank you, Hope.
I deal with this all the time, so no worries.
Glad to see you're not taking a nap, even though.
All right. You got it. Go ahead, do your thing. All right.
All right.
All right. Cool. Thanks.
He said, let me see. All right. So he said it was too bitter of a pill to swallow. Russell comes and says there is nothing in the record, written or verbal, sign that says the lawyers or Anthony wanted the trial this way. So in court, you guys, or in court cases, if it's not on the record, it never happened. So you have Worski standing here, wanting the court to believe, oh, Mr. Anthony and his lawyers, they agreed. They wanted to have it this way. Where is the writing? Where are the documents to support that this is factual and this is true and can support what's coming out of your mouth? Okay, where's that? And Russell is saying, hey, we don't have that. There is nothing in the record, written or verbal or signed, that says the lawyers or Anthony wanted the trial this way. Worski, with his disrespectful self, he stood up while Russell was speaking. He said that there is plenty of documentation in the redacted record to support the agreement. I don't know what redacted record he's talking about, because when we get on into this, you're going to see that they, in order for them to try and keep this private or keep it away from the media, then what they did was kept a file in the judge's office, kept it in the file to keep it away. So he says there's plenty of documentation in the redacted record to support the agreement. The judge, he got into this Worski. He has this thing kind of like Warren, right? When they are given their statements to something, instead of them answering the question with a yes or no or answering the direct question, they tend to, give this whole story. They like to give this whole runaround before they actually answer you. And so the judge, you can see the judge kind of dismiss him when he said that. He was like, all right, okay, we're not getting into that. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to, listen to the facts to see if the recusal will be granted. He said that he believed that Roach's intent was, to be fair. He did believe that, but due to the circumstances and the information, the points that Russell pointed out, he granted the recusal, you guys. I want to tell you, the overflow room was joyful. At that moment, everybody, they got up. I don't know why we thought that we would be in court long, because this is just for the recusal, right? But everybody was so happy. I'm like, oh, we out here early. We can go home. People were shouting with excitement. When we came out of the overflow room, you guys, and we stepped into the hall, you could just hear everyone from the far right end all the way down to the far left end of the courthouse. They were just shouting and excited. They were like, yay, clapping and celebrating, because they were like, we got him out of here. Thank you, Jesus. We got him out of here. So that was the context around that. People were crying in that moment. You had people crying. Not only were they, clapping and shouting and yelling, yeah, they were crying and praising, saying, thank you so much. Like this is much bigger to some people than it is to others. And we get, everybody doesn't have to be in sync. Everybody doesn't have to be in agreement, but understand that, this is important to some people, just as it may not be important to you. Okay. And they were crying. On day 2. So this is the day where we have to get up early, because we're not going back into that overflow room. I can't do that. We can't hear. We can't see. We got to fight to see. I want to be in the courtroom for myself. So we get down here. I think that day we ended up being numbers 26 and 27. We were 26 and 27, and I think they had like 40 seats. So this should give you a context. But to give you better context, I think I left my house, at 4:13? 4 something. I left home at 4 something to get down there to the courthouse to, be able to see. And we ended up, making a number. We got our cards. They give us these cards, and when they give you the cards, you can disperse, right? The man doesn't come out until 6 o'clock. And when he comes out at 6, he goes to, pass you out your cards. And once they give you your cards, you're free to do whatever until, the building opens up. And I'm not going to just say until the building opens up, but you're basically free to go. You can go get you some breakfast, get you something to eat if you want. Just the doors open at 7 for you to be back. When we got inside, we were instructed not to make a peep when the family comes through. They told us, and I believe this was because on the first day, when the people were in the hallway, when Kayla and Drew and the family came through, we kind of made a fist for them. We put our hands up, right? We didn't say anything, but we put our hands up to show support. So on the second day, when it came around, we were instructed not to even make a peep when the family came through. Hell, you can't even raise a fist. So not only can you not talk, but don't do nothing. You can't do anything. And, we said, it's okay.
It's cool, we'll take that. This time I sat behind the grandma. I think she was sitting on the far right end, and I was sitting, I think, 2 seats over from her. Yeah. So we sat right behind the grandmother, not right behind the grandmother, but we said, the seats are so close. For the people who've ever been in the courtroom, you could probably understand what I'm trying to say. I did get a chance to make eye contact with Drew and Kayla. Before court started, they were thanking everyone, being supportive. Thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. They looked back, and looked people in the eyes and told them, thank you. We appreciate you guys for being here. You can still see that they were kind of nervous, especially the grandma. Like, this is effective. This is real. Some people are in this for, views and clicks. They want to, get a story out or, draw attention to their page because of a headline. But this is serious. You can see the grandmother, she was so nervous. I could see her, shaking, just wondering what's going to happen, what's going on. And at points she would close her eyes and things, not, paid attention to her on that day. Well, in that moment. The motion for retrial. I documented, remember I said that when they brought Carmelo in on the first day for the motion for recusal, they had him in his green jumpsuit. Well, today they brought him in. He had on a blue suit. I was able to observe that he had some facial hair, and the reason why I made that note is because there is some friction going around about the sketch artist. The first picture that she drew of Carmelo, he looked nothing like it. That picture it looked nothing like Carmelo, even though we were in the overflow room, right? We couldn't see him in the main courtroom, but what we saw from the cameras in the overflow room, he didn't look anything like that. They had him looking like he was a 50-year-old man. And I think, they were kind of trying to, in my opinion, send a message even with that picture. I feel like it was intentional. And I found some other pictures after that to even, support my claims, where I feel like if you I'll get into that later. But I was able to observe that he had some facial hair. It wasn't to the extent of what was shown on that picture, but he does have some facial hair. I don't even think he has more than male here. I don't think he has more facial hair than male. So yeah, that just goes to show you how the sketch artist did that. So we're in the courtroom. It's starting. Mike Chitty, he has 22. He introduces himself. He has 22 years of experience. Order signed by court, overflow room 8/19/2026. All right. Russell, in his proposed order, paragraph number 7 was struck, and the judge advised Russell that he struck that. I believe that was in regards to the order for live feed to the public, live stream to the ceremonial courtroom, or was it? No, I put this here. Don't quote me on that because maybe that wasn't it. I don't know what paragraph 7 was, but it was struck. Whatever it was struck. We did have live feed to the public in the overflow room, but the ceremonial courtroom, I think, Mel, that's the big courtroom, right? That's also, then that must be what was struck. Then I may have been correct. I think that is what was struck because they wanted, how you have the cameras in there, how you can see what is his name? He's going through trial. You're watching it. The Charlie Kirk. Yeah, you can see that, whatever his name. The live stream, you can see that. You can chime in and see that live stream. Yeah, that's what they wanted, but it was struck. And also a stream to the ceremonial courtroom, I think. So not just this main courtroom, or not just this overflow courtroom, but we want the ceremonial courtroom that can actually hold far more people. You can live stream it to there. I think that was something that he asked, and I think that was struck. Russell asked Chaffner. He was the first one to, get sworn in and take the stand. And he asked Chaffner, why was it not feasible? They gave a document or something and said that it wasn't feasible. The overflow room, the audio and things, it just wasn't feasible at that time. And Russell wanted to know why. And he said, well, given the time frame, it takes a couple of weeks to get set up. That was his defense. He said, given the time frame, it takes a couple of weeks to get set up. And so Russell asked, what type of feed is set up for ceremonial, courtrooms? And he says, well, internal feed.
or Zoom feed. So he's making a point. He asked for, this to be live streamed to the ceremonial courtroom. Can you tell me why it can't? And they said because it takes a couple of weeks to get set up. I want to say, Mel, people prepared for this court. They put in PTO to be able to come here. So I think it's fair to say that that same court would have had, the amount of time that he's saying it takes to be able to set up a live feed to that ceremonial courtroom. You've had weeks.
Plus, he already admitted that they spent months preparing for the trial. He admitted that in the video that he did.
Right, we've had weeks, so or not this one, but the other one too. You had weeks, so you could have basically set that up. Russell asked if the same capability was available for the trial. So he wants to know, if this same thing was available for the trial. And the Chaffman, whatever his name is, he said yes. And so, Chaffman said that he never received a request for it. And Russell said, but it was available. And he confirmed, yes, it was available. Worski, when Russell passed his witness, Worski got up and, he said he really didn't have any questions for that guy. But one of the things he wanted to say was that when he, leaves the stand, he will be returning back to his work or something. And, the budget will be talked about. The budget will be under discussion. So when he returns, remind everyone that he let him off easy. And I don't know if that's code talk or what that is. But yeah, he told him, when he go back to let everyone know that he let him off easy. At this point, Mike Ware asked for the cuffs to be removed from Carmelo. The judge grants the request for the cuffs to be removed. Gary, attorney, said in the media. Okay, Gary, bless him. He was in the jury box with the media. They sat over there. And one of the attorneys that was, is with the Dream Team, Gary, he sat over there. So I documented that. Inside of this courtroom, the main courtroom today, we had technical difficulties at 9:44 a.m. This is where Russell was going to begin. And he was going to open with a PowerPoint, right? He said he was, he likes to show visuals when he's explaining, and he was going to open with a PowerPoint, but they could not get it set up. That we were having technical difficulties, and I found that strange, especially since on the first day, Worski gets up and says, well, I'm not a fan. I don't trust PowerPoints. And then on the second day, here, we'll fix that for you, in my opinion. Let's see. Worski objects to PowerPoint, makes it easier to understand. Oh, so Russell said that, he feels like PowerPoints makes it easy to understand. And then Worski objects. He says, well, I object. I don't agree that PowerPoints make it easier to understand. Let's see. Reporter's record, court's record was not obtained by the time the request was written. 12B, motion for new trial must be granted if judge has misinstructed the jury. Information is unavailable. So grounds for a new trial for Carmelo, would be if the motion for, it has to be granted if the judge has misinstructed the jury. And I think one of the things that Russell points out was that the instruction that was given to the jury was incorrect. The second claim was the reliance on the prosecution's agreements and the exhaust of the record proceedings. He also said this is a murder case with no pretrial or public hearing or motions. He also referenced a shadowed docket, which began almost instantaneously at the indictment of Carmelo Anthony. He states about the Waller analysis, says that the defendant needs only to show a closure as simple as showing that the public was denied access in order for this Waller analysis to be applicable, to him. And so the public was denied access. I think we all know that it was in the previous trial. Mr. Chaffman was speaking and providing reason. Was the contemporaneous, reason was contemporaneous because it put it on the record. Structural error will be shown with 21B3A If shown, new trial is mandatory. All right. Needed in order to grant findings of the procedure, such as the one this morning with Chaffman. So Russell goes in and he says, for example, like, what we had this morning when we had the technical difficulty, you guys, let me know. He said, and you need findings of such to be in the record. He said, this is needed in order, to not to grant a new trial. So if you can show me the reasons behind, why these things are happening, if we have findings of that in the record, then you have grounds not to, grant a new trial. But if you cannot find that, if there are no findings in this order, then it has to be. Okay, it has to be granted. It says,
I want to chime in for a second. I think we could do half today and half tomorrow, from 1 to 3 tomorrow as well. I'd like to take maybe 30 minutes and ask some hard questions about the first day and a half. I think you're pretty much a day and a half into it, right? For the most part. Okay. So when it came to the actual court proceeding, can we talk about, or did we not get to the point yet where they break down Austin's bad deeds and also Carmelo's bad deeds? Is it true? I want to know, is there something about Carmelo threatening to shoot up a school?
we did see that. That came out, Mel, on day 2. That was yesterday. So that wasn't day 1. We haven't made it to that point. We hadn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that came out on day 2. Day 1 was filled with Howard's testimony. It was filled with Russell, showing, them showing the bad stuff on Carmelo, the licking of the blood from the knife, the text messages about the stalking allegations and things, and then the Metcalf boys, their behavior. We can talk about that if you want to, but that came out on day 1. On day 2 is where, the prosecution presents this exhibit 404 that was never filed.
Okay.
It was never filed.
Let's go through that if you don't mind. Let's go through the bad deeds 1 through 53.
Yeah. 1
Maybe
through
we could-
53. Yeah, let's get draw some attention.
And this is from Austin?
Yeah, this is from Austin and Hunter. Austin and
both.
Yeah, this is from both of them. Let's see. It's a lot, so bear with us. I think I
All right.
Here it is. I labeled it.
All right.
Mo.
So tell us all about the bad deeds.
So for the bad deeds, this is the day where they brought in all the information that we were not able to get access to about the Metcalf, the information that they did not want people to find out. So come to find out, Austin and Hunter Metcalf, they were not these angels that they were perceived to be. In fact,
not altar boys? They're not altar boys?
No, yeah, they're not the altar boys.
What about Carmelo? Is he an altar boy?
You know what? That is strange. That is, I'm not gonna say strange, but that is so funny to me because we thought Carmelo was this nerdy kid, like this nerdy, goofy like kid or something. But when you get to his history and the points of him, you will see that Carmelo was Carmelo. He wasn't this goofy kid that we thought he was, like this nerdy little black kid. Carmelo is not that.
What was he?
Carmelo is what you would say is a person that ain't gonna take no shit. They ain't gonna take no shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he wouldn't start anything, but whatever you bringing, let's get it. I'm with it. So,
before you get started though, I want to get this clear because this has been troubling my soul, right?
Yeah.
Some people are saying that Carmelo wrote some text messages to his girlfriend that basically said something like, man, I drew a blank. At any point, they said it happened at 1 a.m. in the morning. Okay. Sent her a picture of a knife and said, what was the word? Oh, I'm low key on the verge. Some say it happened at 1 a.m. I heard that this morning. Some are saying it happened in 2024. Can you guys clarify the real timeline? Because that's very important.
Yeah, Mel, that's not true. When he did send her the text message that said, I'm low key on the verge, There was no picture of a knife that was associated with that before or after that text. That is a complete lie. And to confirm, it
But
was from 2024. It
it
was.
wasn't 1 a. They said it was 1 a.m. in the. So wait, did the girlfriend say he was stalking her to school that day though?
Well, we don't know. We don't know what the girlfriend said. We know that she was ready and available, ready and willing to testify in the previous trial. In fact, she was in court this time. She was with the family. She sat with the family every day. We don't know if the girlfriend said that or not. One of the things I did document was that Worski, he said when he was speaking that, you know, they had talked to the girlfriend. She didn't want to talk to him long, but she talked to him. They had their side of things. The defense had their side of things, but they were able to also talk to the assistant principal. They said that they talked to the assistant principal in regards to this stalking. Well, when he took the stand as a witness and not as a prosecutor, one of the things that came out of his mouth was that they talked to the friend that the girlfriend had reported it to. Okay. The girlfriend allegedly said something to the friend, and they had spoken to the friend and said that the friend should have never reported it. Also, the defense said that the teacher and the girlfriend were ready to, testify. They were on standby for the previous trial, but due to this gentleman's agreement, the girlfriend was not considered because this would be a character witness, and they did not want to get into character. So I find that strange. You have allegations or something, or you have something that you need clarity on from this young lady, right? She made these accusations. She said this. So why should she not have the opportunity to get up and say what she did, what she meant, if you're using it as an allegation against, Carmelo? But that was one of the things that they used. They went to the defense team with about the stalking allegations. Again, we don't know.
So this whole ordeal in regards to him shooting up a school, all of this negative talk, some people are saying he was playing Roblox and that's why he was saying these things to his girlfriend. Can you guys expound on that?
Yeah, so it didn't come out, Mel. Russell didn't explain, that. And I want to say this right here, since we're on this topic. I wrote a note in my previous I had 2 tablets. I wrote a note in here that said that the 404, the motion for the extraneous offenses was not filed. I wrote that note in my first day. And then in this tablet right here for the second day, this is the same thing that Russell refers to. So these text messages that we're seeing about the shooting up the school, all this derogatory stuff that Carmelo was seeing, this was in a file that was this was in a document that was never filed. So Russell is arguing, well, if it was never filed or it's not on the record, it never happened. And he also, said that he wants proof of that, because in this, we heard the defense say that they had trouble getting into Carmelo's phone. They had a new expert, and I don't know if they were trying to say, because they're new, they may not have been as familiar with the process, and so they were not able to get into Carmelo's phone at a point of time. But in regards to that text message that says, "I'm low key on the verge," there was no picture, there was no knife or anything associated with that. His defensive team, they were able to get his laptop and download it or, hook to it, because it syncs with his cell phone, right? So they were able to get his laptop to draw context or to even see, what was meant, because they said his phone died while he was trying to he sent the message or something while he was trying to text her. His phone died. And so he couldn't, finish giving the context behind what he meant by low key on the verge. Now, Mel, I do want to say this. No one can tell you better what they meant than Carmelo. Everyone is speculating. They're wondering what the fuck was he talking about? Was he talking about low key on the verge of stabbing someone? Was he talking about low key on the verge of losing his mind? What is he talking about? Well, no one can give you context as to what he was talking about but him. And because he wasn't able to give that context, now you have speculation. Me personally, I feel like low key on the verge could have been anything, Mel. He could have been
they could have been saying some freakish stuff, and he could have been saying, "I'm low key on the verge," Mel, we don't know what he meant. There was definitely not a knife associated with that text before or after, so we can say that it was not in regards, in my opinion, to stabbing anyone, or a knife wasn't there. Hell, we don't know what he was talking about, and we won't know. Well, we probably will know if he gets a chance to testify in regards to that. But for now, we don't know what he meant because he wasn't given the opportunities to say, this is what I meant. And also
Okay.
in regards to your comment about the roadblocks, I woke up and I spoke to my kids this morning. And I saw on TikTok that you have these parents that like to play Roblox with their kids. And one of them made a video. I'm going to find one for you and I'm going to send it to you. She made a video. She said, I just want to say this, on the Roblox, y'all messing with my kid, but I got on there and I did this, but y'all tore our ass up. Y'all beat us, and they were talking about this game. So I can see how there can be some, violence that's on a game, or it could be that he was talking about a game because, there's this Roblox one, there's this regular one, and then there is one where even when you're watching YouTube, it comes across as the little commercial, the commercials or the little ads, and you see some Mel, you see some stuff on there. Okay, this Roblox one, they all in they naked and different things on
Oh
there.
no.
Yeah, this Roblox
Wow.
version, it gets explicit. Okay, so I
Oh,
can
okay.
understand, doing some. I asked my kids if it was a school on there. They told me yeah.
Oh, maybe they'll get education on there, right?
Yeah,
Too,
well,
right? So listen,
that's something.
we have another guest to bring up
Okay.
for a little bit. Selena Charles, welcome to the stage. All right.
Hey,
Hi.
Selena.
Hey, twins. How y'all doing?
We're well. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you.
All
How you
right.
doing now?
So, all right. So tell us a little bit about your day and what's happening with this trial too. Want to hear from you, or this
Um,
hearing rather.
well, I would have to agree with the twins. Yesterday, before I knew anything about the game.
We can't hear you. Oh boy, we can't hear you. Oh no. Okay, so we lost her for a second. Um, okay, we're gonna try to see if we can bring her back on.
Okay.
Go ahead, Remedy. Keep talking.
Here, but Mel, what I want to speak about. Everybody is taking the fact that they have put these text messages out and they're taking it and running with it like, oh, he this and oh, he that. But let me tell you something. You cannot take you cannot take a message in the middle of, well, let me say, you can take a message in the middle of something that's already going on and put your own perception to it. Just like Mel, if I text my sister and say, B, I'm gonna kill you. If it stops there, if that's the only thing that they have, then Mel, they can say that, oh, she was jealous of her twin. She never liked her. Look how she talked to her, not knowing that in my language, after that text message comes, girl, what you talking about with laughing faces, or what did you do? Why did you give my number to such and such and such and such? And then there's laughter behind it. So you can't take a message in the middle of something that's already going on, just that one part, without context around it to understand what was going on here, what that meant. And that's what they had. They only had messages like in the middle of something. They didn't have context around the messages where you could see what was going on. They only had certain text messages or certain points of text messages. So you can't take that and form they can take that and form their own opinion about it. Right. And that's what they're honing in on right now. Those messages that they see. If you notice, man, there's a video after everything, after everyone rests, we have the closing arguments. There's a video with the crowd for Carmelo. They're still hopeful. They're still chanting. They're happy. Where the Metcalfs, they all left in a hurry with their head down, Mel. They left in a hurry with their head down. When I say they were gone, they were gone. But everyone else, we were like, they were hopeful because Russell came through and he laid every point that he needed to. Those text messages proved nothing. They proved nothing, Mel, because you're in the middle of a conversation that's already going on. I want to know the context around it and around it. I want to know what was the full conversation. Don't stop me in the middle of a conversation and tell me what I meant without listening to the entire thing. And so that's what I want to say about those points with the text messages. We have what you guys have, but I want to see more. Yeah. Make sense of it.
Okay, very good. That's awesome. All right, Remedy. So we've talked a little bit about Carmelo Anthony misdeeds. Let's talk about the 53 issues that came up with the Metcalf twins, and hopefully we'll be able to have Selena Charles back up to hear some from her too.
All right, so it started out, Mel, with the KKK, the graffiti from the Metcalf twins, kill all black people. They said Hail Hitler. Hail Hitler. The N word was written. And in this there was a penis. A penis was spray painted too. Yeah, it was a penis spray painted. There was Austin. It was Austin, Hunter, and another friend they had. Austin, Hunter, and another friend. But there's video footage to support this graffiti that they did. Body cam video from the police officers. And so it says KKK, kill all black people, Hail Hitler, and the N word that they spray painted with the penis on there. And so when it came down to the breakdown, his name is L. The friend, his name starts with an L. He said that he drew the penis and said that both of the Metcalfs drew the other things. Austin, no, can we say what he actually said? Can we say it on your channel?
Try to use the letters because YouTube is brutal.
Okay. The D, it wasn't penis, it was D. The boy said they took it a little too far. He drew the D only. So his only portion in the graffiti was, but that's serious, right, Mel? Graffiti, you going around, you spraying all this stuff on buildings. Ain't that serious?
Yeah, very serious. Yeah.
Well, when Worski talked about it, he said it was just something minor. He tried to brush it off like, they did a little misdemeanor. It was something minor. Mind you, I think these boys were at the time, what were they, 10? I don't know. I don't know how. No, I got to get back to the age, but at the time, because I wrote it. 10 was when they did the stuff. All right, so Austin said we did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism. So there's his confirmation that they did it. The L boys, the other friend, his mom said, I would rather him learn now than in 5 years, and I have to deal with a body bag or something. I don't know what she meant by that. You have the Austin messages about killing a kid sitting on the bench behind him in a track meeting. Can we say that K word on your channel?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, killing a kid sitting behind him on. No, you're missing an important point because they broke down who sprayed what for the graffiti. Okay. Let it be known that Austin said that he was the one that sprayed the KKK, kill all black people. Yeah.
Whoa.
Hunter said that he was the one that sprayed I think, Hail Hitler and the N word. And then the L boy said that he only drew the penis. He only spray painted the penis. But it was our Austin who said KKK, kill all black people. Yeah, right. So he doesn't have any, he don't think that black people need to live. He doesn't think that they deserve life. Kill them all. If you ask Austin Metcalf, this is what he wants done. In fact, he feels so strongly about it, I'm going to go and spray paint it on the building so everybody can see it and they can get the message.
Wow. That is something. When you're saying the L word, what's that? The L guy.
That's the kid. I can't call his name, but his name starts with an L. Is he a minor?
Okay. Okay, I see.
I don't want to call the fella name, but we don't want no smoke. We
Okay. All right.
Yeah. There in the text message, there's another kid. First initial, his initials are LP. Said that this Edgar behind our bench is talking wild. That's one of the same things they said about Carmelo, right? They said that this kid was just talking crazy. They think that people, when they voice their opinions, they're talking crazy. So the LP boy said this Edgar behind our bench is talking wild. Well, they pointed out that Edgar is slang for youth ghetto Hispanic. So a young ghetto Hispanic is who he was talking about. There was a kid sitting behind him on the bench talking wild. And you want to know what Austin said next in that text message?
Oh, what'd he say?
He said, kill that motherfucker.
Oh,
yeah. So not only do you want to kill all black people, but now you want to kill Edgars or young Hispanic youth. Yeah, you want to kill them too. Yeah.
Lord have mercy on my soul. All right, we're gonna bring back up Selena for see here. See if we can hear you now.
Hey y'all. So look, I'm in Mississippi, okay? I'm just leaving Nolan Wells' family. So the signal may be bad. But I like I was saying earlier, I have to agree with the twins. You know, what we heard from the young men on the Metcalf side was horrible. When it comes down to Carmelo, some of the things were bad, but they said it's from a game. I know when I have a 20-year-old son, but when my son was younger, I did buy the Call of Duty game for him. Now, I didn't know what kind of stuff was going on it, but I didn't know what kind of things were going on it, but I knew that it was like a fighting game and it was like a killing game. I knew that, but I just figured, okay, this is just a game, so I just bought it for him. But come to find out, while we were sitting in court yesterday, one of the mother, she has 5 boys, and she said, "Why are they bringing up Call of Duty?" So, and I talked to my son about it, and he said the same thing. They talk to each other like that on the game. So I don't know what to say there. Now I think there was some messages that was there that I don't think align with the game. But I mean, at the end of the day, if that's how they talk on the game, then. And then someone else said that it was something about roasting, because that was a like a long message that Carmelo had put out, and it was talking about it was some racial slurs in there, but they said he was roasting someone. So I mean, I don't know what to say.
Did the Russell Wilson push back on it? Anybody push back and say that, or not really?
No, I didn't hear. I didn't hear any of them push back. I think Russell was really more focused on law and facts. you
Right,
know.
right.
But one thing that like really got under my skin yesterday was Worski when he got on the stand. Well, whenever it was time for Russell to cross-examine him, he started to act like he was ignorant to the questions that Russell was asking him. But
Wow.
before Russell started cross-examining him, the Mitchell, when Mitchell was asking him all these questions, he was wide alert. He was answering, but he was dumbfounded when Russell was questioning him, and
Wow.
and that upset me.
He gave a textbook of how not to answer questions. Right?
Pretty much, and it was very disturbing. I think it looked bad on his part too. If the judge is fair, I believe that it looked bad on his part that he sat up there and did that, because he could not literally answer any question that Russell was asking him, and I
Right.
didn't like that. Another statement he made. Can't remember if he made this statement yesterday or the day before, but the statement is sticking with me, because I know that this is how it goes when it comes down to all of these families that go through injustices. He said, "This is how we do business here." And then he also said that he didn't think that the story was going to continue to go viral. So what they was doing, they was just waiting for it to die down. Because normally that's what happens when families go through situations like this. Everybody's all rowdy about it. But then after that, it dies down. So that's what they thought were going to happen. But it didn't happen. People continue to pay attention to the story.
That's what's happening with Nolan a little bit now, Nolan Wells, right? They're waiting for it
Yes.
to cool down. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I'm just leaving from the Pascagoula courthouse with Christine and Elmore. And there were plenty of people out there. We were protesting today here.
Okay. Can you just tell us a little bit about it, what it was like?
I think it was very diverse. It was really nice. It was well organized, well organized. Um, it was actually something that myself and Kelvin had put together, but I swear I really didn't have to do anything. It was like they received me, they just received me. Literally, I spoke a few times and did a few chants, but they took care of all the groundwork for me.
Right. You were behind the chants at the courthouse, right?
Yes, that's my
Good.
area.
Yeah.
That's my area.
I see you on all of the news networks.
I, you know what? Somebody else said that yesterday, but I haven't seen any yet. I mean, I've seen a few the day that we were out there, but I haven't really seen much.
Oh yeah, you're on everything. You're on Fox. You're on CNN. You're on all the networks. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Well,
look at
I most definitely don't do it for the media. I do it for the cause. I'm purpose for the people.
right. That's awesome. That's amazing. Thanks for taking some time to tell us all about it. Based on what you saw with the judge, do you think there's a potential for him to get a new trial?
I believe that it is. I mean, when I left yesterday, I didn't leave with any negative feelings, like
Mm.
because Russell delivered facts and law. Uh, Worski, on the other hand, it was off of emotion. So and law plays a major role. So if this judge is a procedural judge and he goes off of off the law, then it's a possibility that Carmelo may get a new trial.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. Right now, we're just going through, I guess, what number are we at as far as, I don't know how much time you have, but we're going through the numbers of the Metcalf twins' deeds, their bad deeds. Um, so
When I'm,
I don't know how long you'll be able to hang out with us.
Well, I'm gonna check out because I'm traveling,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I appreciate you. I thank you. It's good to see you, twins. Mel, I want to say a special thank you to you for continuing to sponsor me. Thank you so much.
Awesome. My
Be
pleasure.
blessed.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye
You're
bye.
welcome.
Bye bye. We have a strong team over here watching the world. All right.
yeah. One thing that you asked her, did Russell, speak on it? And I want to give you my take on why I feel like he didn't. Um, he's his position here is to say this man deserves a new trial, and these are the reasons why. In fact, this is the law, and the law was not followed. The correct procedure was not followed here. So in his position yesterday, not saying that it will not be moving forward, but in his position yesterday, it was to establish this is the law. These are the rules that were broken. These are the rules that were not followed. Not to stand here and try to give you a reason or an explanation as to what my client meant. In fact, I'm standing here to show you that we don't have the context from what my client meant because he was not able to testify, and here is why. No one can give you the best context as to what he meant or put reason or explanation behind this better than him. Okay? No one can do it, and we are here today because he was not able to provide you guys and the jury with this clarity. Yes, we understand and we do acknowledge these messages that you guys have from Carmelo Anthony. We see the things that came out on the Metcalf. But listen, he was not convicted on this information, Mel. The jury never knew any of this. We never knew any of this. So this is why we're here. And if you're saying give him a fair trial, then give him a fair trial. For the people who are saying, oh, he's going to get more time, well, then what if you want him to get more time and you guys are sending threats to the prosecutors? He said that they got threats and things because people were mad because Carmelo didn't get the death penalty. Oh, these people were so mad, they're so pissed off because 35 years is too light. So if you feel like he's going to get more time since all of this negative shit has come out, grant him one.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's air out the dirty deeds. Let's do the Metcalfs. Let's do Carmelo with no gentleman's deal, and let's see how it comes out.
With all the information,
even with all the information that y'all have on Carmelo, Mel, it does not compare to the Metcalfs.
And we about to show you.
We're going to show you it does not compare to the Metcalfs. All of that you have heard about Carmelo, it still does not compare to the Metcalfs. So we're at now. They're targeting black people, okay? And now they're targeting the Hispanic people, okay? Let's continue.
All right, so we have a point that says Carmelo entered the tent and talked to EP. Okay, he talked to EP. After several minutes, Hunter approached Carmelo and Austin joined. So there's your confirmation. People were saying that, oh, he never said he was jumped. He never said, it was in it. He never said anything to me.
As a matter of fact, they
him.
said Hunter wasn't a part of it.
Yeah.
Hunter had no play in this. It was all Austin and Carmelo. Hunter had no play.
So just for the record, I was the first one trying to tell everybody. You know, Carmelo's sitting behind Hunter. By the time Austin goes over to attack, which I debate, Austin may have been trying to break them up, really, because when you see, you could kind of make out in the video, either he's attacking, but Hunter is already engaged with Carmelo when Austin is approaching. You can see that. So when that came out in court, that substantiated what I've been saying all along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all this information, you guys, just to let you know, this is coming out while Howard is on the stand. Basically, at this point, Russell is going through this exhibit with all of these offenses. 53, we stopped at, and I forgot how many pages they said. I don't want to say misquote information, but he's visiting each one. He's asking Howard to give him the relevance to him. He wants Howard to, explain a little bit or give detail regarding these incidents. The next one, number 3, is this where Hunter was banned from the teacher's class? Yeah, Hunter banned from teacher's classroom April 1st, 2025, a day before the incident. He kept kicking the door, and the teacher put him out because he wouldn't stop kicking the door. And I can only imagine, it wouldn't be a little peck or a little nudge on the door. It had to be something, forceful for this teacher to ban you from her classroom. How hard were you kicking? Because these are big boys. Mm-hmm. How hard were you kicking that teacher's door, and why? Yeah.
So wait a minute. Jeff Metcalf said that all of these allegations pretty much were years ago in regards to his son. So you mean to tell me they were knocking and kicking on doors the day before this occurred?
This was the day before the incident. I think we have other stuff that happened closer to. This was April, and you can quote me on this. April 1st, 2025, the day before the incident. He was banned from the teacher's classroom from kicking the door. Someone was texting Hunter, and they said something about, and I want to give context to why we don't have everything so for the people who may be wondering why we're not going into detail on some of them and why we don't have some of the numbers. When Russell put these under the scope, in bold, you have the offense and its number, and then under there, like a heading and then detail. Under there, you have details regarding what happened during this incident. You're not able to capture everything because, again, the trial doesn't stop. You do to take notes. You stop looking to take notes and things. So we're not able to capture everything. But underneath there, it kind of gives you some context as to what was going on. So some people may have other details that we don't have. But someone was texting Hunter, and Hunter said, "No, we not. I'm talking to her. Fuck that weak ass teacher." And he felt like the teacher was weak. What's this? This is Hunter messages about jumping kids from Independence track team at a prior track meet. So you have messages from Hunter talking about jumping on some other kids from an Independence track. They like jumping on people. Mm-hmm. I see that. From these notes, it seems like they like that. And then Hunter even gave an interview that said Austin has his back.
Right. Guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel. Keep hitting the hearts. Help us stay in the algorithm. We're bringing you information right from the courtroom at a high level. We thank you so much for all the support. Thank you.
It's number 4. So to go along with that, Mel, with that number 4, where I said we were at the Hispanics, we were at the blacks, right? Yeah. So at this Independence track meet, you have the comments where it says, "These shitty indie kids talking," and said, "Let's jump them." One of the friends told him, "Record it," and Hunter said, "I got it." Yeah. So now the indie kids, I don't know if it's for Indian, but these indie kids, they up here talking, and they say, "Let's jump them," and record it. Yeah. The next one says, Austin and other shot put throwers got in trouble on March 22nd. Do you have that date? I do. What was that? March 22nd? 2025. 2025. Oh, there you go, Mel. March 22nd, 2025. That wasn't years ago. Austin and other shot put throwers got in trouble March 22nd, 2025 with coaches. They were told they would not be going to the district meet, which was the track meet, the April 2nd track meet. I think I spoke on that previously. But I think they got in trouble for leaving that track meet or something. So they're saying that the coach wanted them to come to the April 2nd track meet to be leaders or show leadership or something around that nature. But yet you guys just got kicked off the team the day before for showing that you are in fact not leaders. You left your team hanging. You left early, and as a punishment, you're not going to the district track meet. Not only that, but y'all were just banned from, well, one of them was just banned from the teacher classroom because you're kicking on the teacher door and disrespecting her. So those are the type of leaders that they want. You want them to lead your peers and show them how to behave at the track meet. That's why they were so important to be there. We also have Austin follows several fight accounts on social media. How many did you say it was? Because I was
300.
300.
Yeah. So let's clear this up. When you mentioned Indy in regards to the shitty Indies or whatever, did you abbreviate that for Indians, or did they say Indies in court?
It says Indy. The breakdown of it says these shitty Indy kids. INDY. But you know what, Mel? They could have meant independence kids. Yeah. They could have meant independence. But I don't know. It just says these shitty Indy kids. And again, like we had to write so fast, Mel. So when we put our head down, pick our head back up, the slide is gone. So
Okay.
it could have meant independence. It could have meant these. But what it was INDY. Is that what you got? Yeah, INDY. INDY. Maybe it was the independence. It's from the track team, because again they did say it was, him wanting to jump the kids at the prior track meet. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it.
All right.
Thank you.
Austin followed several fight accounts on social media. How many did you say there was? 300. So she was able to capture the number. This was only accounts that deal with fighting and fighting only. I didn't even know they had 300 fight accounts on social media. But when they did the research, Austin follows 300 of those accounts that have pure fighting content, fighting only, on social media.
Wow.
2 months prior. 2 months prior to the incident was February 3rd, 2025. Austin used the N word and said FEP. And then Hunter said, we have 2 NIHS. That was short for the N word. N word. We have 2 NIHS words you're gonna punt. Yeah. And it's not us, it's not our short for the N word. We copied down what was in the message. So it's NIHS. That's what Hunter said.
Wow, this is crazy, man.
This is 2 months prior. He's using the N word. Okay. On the day before, April 1st, 2025, which is the same day that Hunter was banned from the teacher's class, Austin is in a Snapchat group chat using the N word. Yeah. That was another thing they put on there. The day before, April 1st, 2025, the same day that Hunter, I told you they were like tit for tat. If you do something, I'm going to do something. So Hunter got kicked out from the teacher, banned from the teacher's class April 1st. April 1st, Austin is in the Snapchat group chat using the N word. Yeah. We have October 2023. Yep. Where Austin bullied the child's name. It starts with the T. He's an African-American student, and Austin bullied him in class and was using racial slurs towards him. And the teacher sent an email that said that the football players were using the N word. He called another student a black ASSHOE and bragged that the coach would do nothing to him because he was a starter. Yep. We have the incident where Hunter, number 10, where Hunter threatens the cheerleaders with assault, and they are scared at Canes. Called the girl the fat B word. This is what came out that we actually know about, that the incident at Canes where Megan said that the girls were putting her boys down. They were putting them down and talking about them after they just lost a game. And of course, we know Hunter is hot-headed. And he probably did say something spicy or some kind of way that she tried to clean it up like that. But she gave context to that too. But this is the incident that she's referring to. The Canes incident where they were threatening the cheerleader, told her his hands were bisexual. Yeah. Actually, Mel, Jeff said that they're not. We have number 11 from March 3rd, 2025. Hunter was put on a stay away plan from another student. His initials are XF. So he's put on, sounds, I want to say we've heard that before. The stay away plan. Hunter was put on a stay away plan from another student who is also African American. Yeah. Number 12, January 20th. What was it, Mel?
No, I didn't say that. I said, wow.
Okay, January 20th, 2022, Hunter started fight with player from opposing team. Okay. That was what, 4 years. The number 13, May 14th. What's your date on your number 13? So I have a May 18th incident here. You got a 14th? I got 2018. It may have been. No, this is where they assaulted a female. Yeah, this is where they assaulted a female. Okay. But it's May 2018. We can agree on it. I don't know what trying to write chicken scratch. Austin and Hunter bullied and assaulted AJ. This is a female student because she accidentally touched his face in the game. I think it said something about flag, something. She had to visit the hospital for her shoulder, and they found some deep bruising on the girl's hospital. In fact, it pissed her mom off, and her mother advised that Jenkins was frequently targeted by Austin and Hunter, and this was the last straw. Is this when they got? I think they were 10. They got arrested for it. I think for assault, because I think the mom was pushing back. So they were 10 years old when this happened. Yeah. Where they assaulted that girl and messed up her shoulder. Yeah. Did something to her shoulder where she received a shoulder injury, and her mom reported that. Oh, wait a minute. This was in May 2018. We have another incident from May 7. No, this is 2024. My bad. May 7, 2024. But this is not years ago. Hunter and Austin assaulted a female. Her initials are SS. Yes. So they assaulted her May 7 in 2024. Yep. Another female assault. What's your 15? Is Austin and Hunter when they got kicked out of the game. All right. So we have number 15 where Austin and Hunter got kicked out of a game for wanting to beat up kids for talking crazy. Hunter used the same slang on an interview about Carmelo that was noted there. But it said they were talking crazy and they got kicked out of the game because they wanted to beat the kids up. So it was a football game. It says Austin and Hunter, their messages about getting kicked out of football game and wanting to beat up kids, saying they were talking crazy. The same thing that was said about Carmelo. Someone with the W initial said, "What happened today at the game?" Austin says he said got kicked out. Somebody said almost. Hunter said we lost our cool. And this was all in 15. Were you able to? Okay, here goes 16. Report from teacher that Hunter lacks self-control and gains attention by misbehaving. So there was a report from some teacher. I don't know the date. I wasn't able to catch that date, Mel, but saying that Hunter lacks self-control and he gains attention by misbehaving. Go back to number because I captured something that you didn't capture. Okay. So the previous incident before that, someone asked, why did you leave? And they replied and said we almost got into a fight. Austin then goes to say that we was about to beat the F out of these kids. Mm-hmm. Hunter replied to him and told him, said, "It's our fault, bro, chill." And I think Howard kind of honed in on that and said, this is where they were admitting, this is y'all admitting that y'all started something and this is y'all fault. So he put that point in there too. I was able to capture that. Okay. See, she was able to get some things I wasn't able to, Mel, because we had to write. Yeah. 17, October 2024. Mm-hmm. Hunter's aggression is on the cusp, CUSP, of becoming physical. This is where the multiple teachers, this wasn't just one teacher. Apparently, this was a report from multiple teachers where they sent in a report about Hunter's behavior, letting them know that it's on the cusp of becoming physical. They sent in a report about Hunter's behavior at school, and this was October 2024. Right? Were you able to? Okay, 18, it says report from teacher that during 2022, Hunter was twice suspended from school since his last review. One for profanity towards teacher and one for posturing to fight. I don't know if they said that he kind of postured up for the teacher, but it said that it was not hearsay. So they're not saying that he was suspended for the teacher hearing him curse. This was more direct. He was talking to the teacher. He looked at the teacher and called her a fat ass bitch. Mm-hmm. And he told the teacher to fuck off and shut the fuck up.
Wow.
It says he was suspended from school for 7 years in a row from 2015 to 2022. Also says Austin has several instances where he called the teacher the B word. So not only is it Hunter, but it's Austin too that are looking at these teachers and they're calling them the B word. They don't even respect the teachers. The teachers can't even get control of these kids. Austin has 7 occurrences of suspension. So he has 7 occurrences of suspension, but Hunter has been suspended for 7 years. And basically, there's not a year that has gone by in between this period that Hunter has not been suspended. From 2015 to 2022. 26, October 3rd, 2023. Were you able to catch something before that? Because I had to write, it jumps from 18 to 26 for me. Let me see. I have on this one where you was just referring to, I got the record, I got the time frame. It was February 2022 to December of 2024. There were 6 occurrences where Hunter was telling the teachers to fuck off. Yeah. So they have that. And then we have Hunter was suspended from school 7 years in a row. Austin had 7 instances where he called teachers bitches. There was a note that said Hunter would often start and Austin would finish. I think that is what Howard stated when he was up giving the information, the context to these, the relevance to the findings of what they had. And let's see. Because I know what it was. He said that, Hunter would often start it and Austin would finish it. And he made that statement because the state's theory was that Hunter wasn't involved at all. So I have that note here. We have in 2023, there was another altercation with Austin. We have a verbal altercation. This is one, October 3rd, 2023. Austin gets into a verbal altercation with another football player in front of the school. So they got into some type of verbal altercation. 27, Austin gets suspended from school talking about bringing a gun to school. I have that one.
Wow.
So, yeah, I hear some people saying something about Carmelo saying something about shooting up the school, right? And we're still trying to figure out if that's a game or we don't know what it was because, again, he wasn't able to testify and say what he meant. But here, we actually have, the facts that Austin got suspended from school from talking about bringing a gun to school. And then the context up under there, I think someone asked him what it sounds like, what his gun sounds like or something. He said, well, you'll hear it tomorrow. You find out for yourself. You'll find out for yourself tomorrow when I bring it. 28, he was banned from basketball games for using and yelling profanity. 29, Austin's testimony on December 9th, 2024, that he had made a church group about being consumed by anger, lust, and addiction. So he had been welcomed to, or he had joined a church group that was to support people who were consumed by anger, lust, and addiction. And also said that he was addicted to drinking under there. I was able to capture the point that he was addicted to drinking. We have 31. Which do you have? This is my next one. 31. 31, where Austin tells the football player to suck my. You say I can say it? No, you can't say it. I can't say it. It's my. One of the students has said that they need to learn to control their emotions. So it says, message from another student saying Austin and Hunter need to control their emotions, and they responded. Which one of them responded? I said, suck my D. 31 on 12/24/2024, Hunter was standing over Austin or Hunter. They say you don't know which one it is. It's one or the other, but they're I don't know if they're identical. One was standing over the other, grabbing their mother's throat. So this was 12/24/2024. This was not years ago. One of them is the guilty party, was standing over the mother, grabbing her throat. Were you able to capture any context underneath there?
Wow,
No.
what in the world? Their own mother?
Their own mother, Mel.
No, you got to be kidding me.
Grabbed her around her throat.
What?
And so I have another instance where this was March 24th, 2022, where there's a video in Austin's phone showing him laughing and filming a black student, and a student told him to stop it, and he punched the student in the face. There was another instance with a black student. That was March 24th of 2022. That's number 32? That is, number 32. Okay. Do you have 33? I got 33, some of it. 33 is where Austin throws a water bottle at a black student. I guess there was a video of that. March 21st, 2022, where Austin is throwing a water bottle at the black students. So you can see how he constantly just taunts black kids, just constantly just targets them and record himself doing things to them. And they made a mention that these are videos that they were not deleted. They were not deleted. He just kept them as trophies, you know, like this is something that he was proud of, and you go back and just revisit. They also made that point. Do you have 34? I didn't catch it, but maybe you did. 34 is where they filmed a black student eating a banana and in the locker room, and another student went and took the kid's head and shoved the kid's head into his crotch. That was number 34. Number 35, number 30, I don't even know what number this is because I was writing, but there's an instance where Austin was video fighting another kid with boxing gloves. That's 37. 37? Yep. Okay. Do you have 38? I have 38. Okay, because I got 39. 38 was something about him bare fist fighting someone. I wasn't able to catch all the details, but 38 was him bare fist fighting someone. 37 was a video shows Austin fist fighting another kid with boxing gloves on. 39, January 20th, 2023. Austin's phone shows Austin cheering on his friend, starts with the J. His name starts with the J, as he chases and tackles a black kid and tell him, he says, "Get over here, you black Jew." Number 40 is a video of him saying, "I'm going to slap the shit out of someone." One of the kids, right? He's saying, "I'm gonna slap the shit out of him," and then he slaps him, and then he records himself saying, "I'm gonna slap the shit out of such and such," and then he slaps him too. 41, I don't think I was able to catch it at D. Did you? Number 41? Yeah, but I have mine labeled, I think it's 42 or something, some kind of way. But there's a video of Austin saying that he's gonna slap the fuck out of his dad and he is gonna do shit. Yeah, that's 42. I wasn't able to capture 41. It moved too fast. But 42 is Austin yelling, going to slap the shit out of my dad and he ain't gonna do nothing about it. What is this? 43. Which one? What's your grabbing another kid's head, shoving it towards the? I have the. Where's the? Do you have the one where Austin uses his hand as a gun and points it towards a black person's head? No, there's a video. I got that one where he's using his hand gesture as a gun and points it towards a black person's head. I was able to capture that one. Okay. We have. Do you have 46 where he choked another kid in the weight room? No. We have that where he choked another kid in the weight room. I think there's video to that. Number 47 is a video where he's flexing and really angry and screaming. This was December 30th, 2021. Did you get that one? No. Where he's flexing and screaming. I guess this goes back to the consumption of the lust and the anger and aggression. You have a video of him flexing angrily and screaming. I got that one. Do you have where are you? I don't know. I was chicken scratch, so I'm trying to figure out my numbers. I don't know what number this is. It looked like 48 because this might be 49. But it jumped for me from 42 to whatever this is. Mine jumped too, so they must have took the thing away, so we couldn't write it. So I have 48. Do you have 48? Yep. Where Austin is using the N word about a African American male. His name starts with a K. He's using the N word towards him. Do you have 49? I have 49. Austin uses the N word and his friend makes a racial joke. You have 50? I got 50. Austin uses the hard ER N word. You have 51? I got it. Okay, because I don't have 51. I got Austin calling his dad the N word, mad because his dad didn't understand him. Okay, so and said dad told him and Hunter to take their meds for their ADHD. So for this one, he was trying to text his dad something, and the dad didn't understand what he was saying, and he got mad. And when he got mad, his dad told him that he and Hunter both needed to take their medications for their ADHD, and he called his dad the N-word. He called his dad the N-word. So he knew that his boy, is prone to using these words and uses it quite often. Where are we? They're 52. 52. I have a video. I think there's a video where Austin is holding a knife and says, "Come fuck with me now." Yep. Number
Oh,
yeah, and 53. He's holding a knife saying, "Come fuck with me now." We have a 53 where Carmelo saw them. Yeah, so number 53 is where Carmelo actually saw them at a basketball game get into a fight with another student. And I think Howard said this is used to show that at least one of them are aggressive and prone to starting fights. But Carmelo actually saw them jump on another kid at a basketball game. Where are we? That's all. So, that was 53. Yeah, that's 53. We didn't capture all 53 because, again, Mel, we could only write as quickly as we could. And Russell was just putting them under the scope. You know, he was going through some of them. He didn't go through each and every last one of them, but he was going through. When I tell you that we could not keep up, my hand was hurting me. I thought my rings were too tight on my finger because I was trying to write so much to keep up, Mel. It was just that much. Some of it we weren't able to capture. And some people may have captured things that we didn't get. We probably captured things that other people didn't get, but it was 53 that
let
was.
me let me ask you this question. Do you think all of this information in regards to the Metcalf twins, do you think would make a difference to the outcome for Carmelo's trial?
It would. I do think so. And I'm gonna tell you one of the things that Russell said yesterday. He said when he had Worski on the stand cross-examining him, he said, "Well, you know that your victim has an issue with African American people." He says, and you also know that if you were to allow an African American person to be on the jury, that they would have an issue with your victim's behavior. Worski act like he couldn't answer the questions. He was very non-responsive to the questions and things that Russell was trying to ask him. But this came Mel after Russell was trying to establish the racism. So what happened was Worski's on the stand, right? And he's talking when Mitchell is crossing him, he's giving reasons as to why they had to shut this whole thing down. He's like, well, we were receiving all these threats and things, and we had to even make some arrests on the Collin County Courthouse. And one of them, on the grounds, and one of them you'll find is Jake Lang. He is this neo-Nazi racist. There's not enough words to use to describe him, but he just likes to provoke and start things. And he was arrested, and he's a racist. He said all these things about Jake Lang, right? To prove, we had these type of things going on. We had to even make an arrest. So this is why we had to shut the courtroom down to prevent harm to Carmelo or even others. So when Russell gets him on cross, Russell is like, can you, here I see that you just talked about Jake Lang. Can you describe, use some words to describe him? Some of the ones like you just did. He goes in. Yeah, he's like, there's not enough words to describe Jake Lang. He's neo-Nazi. I documented neo-Nazi, racist. He's this. And so Russell says, well, what is it that leads you to believe that Jake Lang is this person? Why do you feel, to say the things? Why do you feel to describe him in this way? And words could go, well, it's his history. It's the past things that he's done. And I think you'll see if you follow it. And so he said, and Jake Lang's history showed a pattern of, racist things against Black people. And then Worski says, yes. He said, in fact, when he was arrested in Collin County, it was because he was, provoking and saying racist things, or, not when he was arrested, but when he was in Collin County, one of the things that he was doing was being racist towards the Black people. And so Worski says, yes. And so he said, well, did you review Austin Metcalf's history? Mm-hmm. And so let me see. He says, did you review his history? And Worski says, let me see. One moment, man. Let me find it because I want to be on point. I want to be on point. Mm-hmm. But he said, I can't use enough words to describe Jake Lang. He's this, he's that, he's this, and he's that. And so what Russell basically does is ask him, did you visit your victim's history? Is it safe to say that he has a history of this type of behavior. I'm just going to shorten it up, put it in my own words, but I'm waiting on her to find it. Is it safe to say that he has a history of this type of behavior? And so, Worsley was trying to beat around the bush, and that's when Russell came in and said, and in fact that that if you had you have to know the history of your victim when you're picking your jury. That plays a fact until you're picking your jury, because if you pick an African American juror on the jury and you have this victim who has a history of racist behavior, then that would affect their outcome of what they think about your victim, right? Oh, Worski was just. This is when I say Russell's bringing out that whip, that lash, instead of lashing and lashing and lashing, and that Worski, he turned Worski every which way but loose. I'm waiting on her to find it because she wrote it down. I want y'all to know exactly how.
I found it.
You found it?
Yeah, I found it. I'm looking for this other note that I made over here in the first day. All right, so on this page, Mel, I put, Russell brings up the 404, the motion to enter the extraneous offenses. He says, and in that motion, you guys went and you got Carmelo's school record, basically, and Worski act like he didn't know what Russell was talking about, and there was an objection. I think this was from Mitchell. He said, I think that we should ask, Mr. Wilson to clear which one he's talking about, because we filed two motions here of extraneous offenses. And so the judge says, well, I believe he's referring to the 72-page response is the one that he's referring to. And so Russell, confirms with him that, yes, that's the one I'm referring to. He said, you went through the various incidents, and he said, yes. He says, over a period of time. He says, yes. He said something about propensity for violence. And then Worski says, I'm not sure. He said, do you recall Austin Metcalf's record? He also says, at this moment, Jeff Metcalf, I'm sitting directly behind him, so he's leaned down at this point, because I put Jeff Metcalf leaned far down, very far down in his chair at this point, forward. He says, can you tell me again how you describe Jake Lang? I put neo-Nazi, content creator. He called him a racist. He called him some more thing. He said, did you also? No, he didn't say racist. Russell said, did you also describe him as a racist? He said, yes. He said, in regards to a pattern? He said, yes. He said, based off of internet activity? And then, he confirmed it. He said, did Austin Metcalf have a history? So Mitchell objects here, okay? And he said it's overruled by the judge. It's actually overruled. And he said, you're comparing Jake Lang to a dead student, so I'm going to object to that. That's what Mitchell said. You're comparing Jake Lang to a dead student. We're going to object. But the judge overruled that. And so it says Austin Metcalf, the prior incidents would depict racist behavior. He also says, do you recall videos of him striking African Americans? He says, yes. He said, when you describe pattern, behavior is consistent with pattern. Worski act like he couldn't understand that. He wouldn't answer. Whatever he came up with, it was not a response to the question. So here, Russell objects and says non-responsive. This is the 23rd objection that I have. He says, when you're at counsel table, you're not serving as a witness. And he said, yes. He said, when you made a decision to testify, you became a witness. He said, yes. He said, you don't get to tell the lawyers the questions you'd like them to ask. He said, oh, Mitchell came and said objection. He said, this is argumentative. Judge says, I'm going to ask the questions. He said, ask the questions, and I'm going to ask that you ask the questions and the witness respond to the questions asked. He said, in the discovery notice, nothing in there regarding this list of threats or anywho, but I said I'll let Mel so I can give you context, because you said, do we think that the information that came out would have a different outcome? Well, we think so, because you have all this racist information, or you're comparing this student to, Jake Lang as well. They're tit for tat, basically. what Russell is saying. If you can say this about Jake Lang, then surely you saw it about Austin, because you see this information. Yet you have no black member on the jury, because you know that they would find, a problem with your victim's behavior. They would have a problem with their wordings and things they did, and for this reason, you didn't leave one on there. Mel, if he gets a new trial, he's granted a new trial, or when he's granted a new trial, he is entitled to a jury of his peers, Mel. And I don't know what African American person I could find that would be okay with someone, this history, or even put it in their mind that it's not reasonable to think that this kid had a fear, or should it was reasonable for him to be in fear of this kid who is a racist and gets off on hurting black kids, taunting black kids, even wanting to kill them, Mel. So I do think that this will play a factor. This will be a major factor out on the table in his new trial.
All right, very good. So we're going to pause here, and then we'll come back tomorrow and address it more. I guess we'll shoot for the same time around 1 p.m. if that works for you.
That works.
We'll finish off the rest of the trial. I'm at the hearing. Thank you very much for this. Also, we're going to be on standby. Maybe you guys can be on standby too. The judge is going to make his verdict today. And the minute it breaks out, we're going to go live and talk about it, see what everybody has to say. So I'm going to create that show now. I want to thank you guys for coming on today. It's so amazing to have you. I'm going to let you guys close out the show. Again, everybody, we're going to be back tomorrow, Sunday at 1 p.m. And today we went for 3 hours. Hopefully we don't go that long, but if so, it is what it is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to have the twins take us home.
All right, you guys. We're sorry that it took so long, and we're still not finished. But that just goes to show you the extent of these court proceedings. We are in here. We're taking all these notes, right, and everything that we're writing down. We're still not to the end. It still doesn't give you the full picture of what is going on inside of the courthouse. Thank you guys for listening to us, for being patient with us. Some of you guys, I'm pretty sure, feel like we, may have taken a long time with trying to get the information out, but we just want to put out the facts so you guys can see what we heard, what we got a chance to experience. In this, I have to agree with Selena, and I want to, reiterate that I do believe that when this all comes out, when that decision is made, Carmelo should be granted a new trial, because this is not based off of emotion. And even though everything came out, negative about Carmelo and these twins, none of this information was put forth in his conviction. Okay, this is what Russell is fighting for. You convicted him, based off of your interpretation of him, and you didn't have all the facts. It was hidden. So we're going to sit back. We're going to be on standby and see. We have all the notes. Again, thank you guys for listening to us. I say he'll be granted a new trial. Other people feels like he will, because when Russell took the floor, Russell stood on business, and he made it very clear and apparent that what has happened is not fair. This is what we're saying, and he deserves a new trial. And we're so certain because it was factual. As Selena said, Russell put facts into this case. Worski was speaking off of emotion and his opinion. When there is something factual, and if you're going to abide by the law, then by all means, Russell proved his point. He proved his point. He brought it home. And with that being said, we're confident that Carmelo should have a new trial. He should be granted a new trial. You guys stay tuned for the update. We're going to be staying tuned for it as well. And we'll see you guys back here.
I'm sorry, guys, to do this to you, but you're going to have to close it again. So we're going to run that back. I have to jump in here and push back a little bit. This is America, all right? I want to make this kind of clear. They brought in a judge that's retired. He has his whole legacy, the final chapter of his life. It's going to be a far stretch for him to do anything different than what Roach did. Roach is still in the back in the Zoom, probably calling the shot. Let's just be real about this thing. I think this, I'm just giving you my opinion. I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong, okay? I think all of this talk about Carmelo was just for the press. They want everybody to know the morning of that this happened, he was threatening his girlfriend. He, he want to shoot up a school, all of the stuff they brought up, right? So that when they come through with a hammer, it's going to make it hard to give you an argument saying, oh my goodness, how could they do this to him? Now, maybe we made some progress, but based on everything I've seen going to Texas, listen, I've been fighting with the courthouse for over a month to be able to attend this trial, this hearing as a press member, but they only had 9 people lined up. So I reached out. I was calling back to back. And then they gave me a guy and they also gave me a female. I kept leaving them messages day after day. They never called me back. So what I did, I went back to the main desk and I was asking them, hey, listen, how come I can't get a hold of somebody? Because I'm coming down to Dallas. I want to be able to attend as media, right? They start out now when I call, they send me right to the voicemail. So the 2 days before the actual hearing on Monday, when I reached out, they said, "Oh, we have a new guy. He's going to be heading up this department." So I reached out to him by email. He responded right away, but he says, "Oh, you're too late. You should have gotten in a week ago." I said, "What are you talking about? I've been reaching out to this guy and this girl for over a month to no avail." So then on the second day, Thursday, well, no, Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, the first day night, they sent me an email, and basically the email says, okay, if you want to try to get into court for tomorrow, you have to let us know by 6 p.m. Like we're already at that's the second day of the hearing. You see what I'm saying? So that's just to put it out there to clean up your tracks. That's all that's about. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. Hopefully this works out, right? But if you look at how these things work, you just have to be realistic about it, right? And they played the media to the highest extent because immediately on the first day when they talked about how Carmelo was licking the knife off of blood, all this stuff, the media ran with that. And now, even though you have 53 points against Austin, you don't hear that much about it, right? Go back to the mainstream media. They downplay that just like the people in the audience today. Oh, he still murdered her. They don't want to hear about the fact that Carmelo was being jumped by 2 guys and he did what he did, okay? Nobody wants to hear that when you go to show the video and you say, look, you can see Hunter and Austin attacking Carmelo. That doesn't make a difference. It makes a difference in the fact that when you have 2 big husky guys coming after you, right? You have a right to defend yourself, right? Now, as far as the proportionality of all of this, that's what needed to be addressed. But the jury needed to know these facts. You see what I'm saying? But because of uh, the good old boy, what do they call the deal? The gentleman's deal. Now you can't talk about some of these key facts. Like imagine if the jurors they got rid of the black jurors, right? That's a fact, right? Now, there's a reason for it, but that's very debatable. To anybody that's walked this experience in life as a black person, I'm not going to buy that. I'm just being real. Okay, so these are very serious matters, but sometimes it's just a stage that's being set to make you think. Like, for instance, they recuse the judge. They're probably going to recuse the judge on all these cases, right? But you think that's progress. Now people get hyped up. Oh, he's going to get a new trial. Then when the hammer drop, you see what I'm saying? People are ready to go crazy because they don't have the proper expectations. Hopefully it works out in that regard. I'm just saying you have to remain balanced and realize that we're still in a weird space and time. And because of Carmelo Anthony and Nolan Wells in these cases, people are really coming out and being bold. Like every show we have now, people are just coming out just saying racist stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's out of control. So anyway, I'm sorry to do this to you, but now you guys have to take us home again, and we'll see what the verdict is going to be. But based on everything that I'm seeing, it's going to be sketchy. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, Mel, you made a point. And about the media, we were sure to ask the question about the media. Come to find out, it looks like they used the same media that they had before, but guess what's different?
What?
They had one African American female who's on the media. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
It's
right.
not there. But just to close the show out, you guys, we can understand exactly what Mel is saying, and that's just basically accepting, reality of what it is, where we are in time and how things are happening. We understand how things are being set up, and I guess Mel is just giving the realistic to it, saying don't get your hopes too high, so that when you're dropped, you won't drop as hard or you won't fall as hard. And we get that, Mel. I get it. I still want to remain optimistic because I'm telling you, when Russell took the floor in that courtroom, the floor, he took the gavel from the judge. He put the crown on his head and he controlled the floor, and it was obvious every objection that he put down was sustained. It was not overruled, it was sustained. It was a difference from when he was just playing his case. And even in that end of statement, what he said, Mel, is this. He said, it's not about whether Mr. Mitchell or Mr. Worski were acting out of good faith. He says, he said, what matters the most is the perspective of the person it impacted the most. It's reasonable to say, I don't trust him. So, he basically stated, Mel, that this client's rights was violated. He was violated.
Right.
It's not about what they did, whether they were acting out of good faith or not. I'm sure that you can understand that, Judge, that they were acting out of good faith, as we all do.
Right.
But here is the thing. What matters is how this young man feels, and we have the facts and the evidence to support it. So rule on that procedure.
So hold your peace. I'm gonna need you guys to close out
We
again.
can't
All
hear.
right. So
Can't hear you.
can't hear me?
No.
Oh God. Hold on one second. Can you go
I
out
think we
and
got breaking news.
come back in? Are you able to go out and come back in? I'm sorry.
You said leave and come back?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay.
I think that'll solve the issue. Okay, cool. All right. So really quick here. I don't know why it does that every time we add something. So for seeking truth and all of you individuals that are talking about jumping and all this in the comment section. All right, we're gonna go through this video really quick for you since I'm here for it today. Is there breaking news? I don't know. I don't have any breaking news. Maybe they thought so. But this is for the individuals right now that are saying that there was no jumping in the situation. Okay. So I want to show you guys. Let me bring the twins back up really quick. Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you.
All right. Okay. 1 second. All right. So here we go. And sorry to keep doing this to the twins. They've closed out 2 times already, but it's beautiful every time they do it. So we're going to have them close out a 3rd time. Okay. So this is the actual video under the tent. Okay. I need you guys who are having a hard time understanding to pay close attention to what I'm about to say. This is Austin here, right here sitting. I did a video on this a couple days ago. I'm going to release it again today to show you how everybody came into the tent. Carmelo, this is essentially Carmelo's head here. Hunter is sitting in front of him. You're going to see Austin push him. His head's going to go this way. Watch this right here. You see that? That's Austin pushing Carmelo right there. Okay, so you see this? See, I'm going to take it back. Here's Austin here. Okay, Austin is right here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Austin pushes Carmelo's head right here. You see his head goes to the right. This dark blur in front of him is still Hunter. Okay. All right, now you see he gets stabbed and he falls backwards. You can see the gap here. It's almost like he falls back like this. So this is Austin falling back. He's already been stabbed. Keep in mind that Carmelo is wearing a gray top. You're going to see him run out the back of the tent. And when Carmelo runs out the back of the tent, he's going to appear up here over watching the world. And then you're going to see Hunter, who was sitting in front of him. He's going to be standing there by himself. Look at this. You see that? Now you see Carmelo with a hood on the top of his head above the tent, okay? See that? He has the gray hoodie on, as testified in court. I attended the trial. Now, when I back this up, I want you guys to see. Now, in court, this is very important for you guys to understand, okay? In court, they made it very clear that Hunter was sitting down. He never got up, and he was facing the front, okay? Now, we heard something different in the hearing, that Hunter actually approached Carmelo first, and then Austin came, okay? This is what they testified to, that they heard at the hearing, okay? So, keep in mind, Hunter claims to be sitting down. Carmelo is sitting behind him. Remember the audio video that Hunter did with his mother in the front yard? They also went on a big news network. And Hunter says, I heard a boy behind me talking and saying all this terrible, terrible things. That's how he was talking, right? Remember that video? Okay, so this right here lines up with that. Hunter is sitting in front of Carmelo, right? So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me pull this back up and we'll be done. So here we go. Hunter is sitting in front of Carmelo. I'm going to back it up to where Austin comes over and pushes. So see right here? This is Austin. He comes over, he pushes Carmelo. Oh, let me go back a little more. Here we go. Back. Let me go back. Okay, so now we got Austin. He comes over. Look, he pushes Carmelo here, right? He falls back. This is exactly how they explained it in court. You see the gap, like his arms, he's falling back. He's just been stabbed, right? Carmelo's going to be up and out the back of the tent. Let me show you. You see here, there his head is. Now, let's back this up. Now I'm going to show, now you see Hunter standing right here. Can you guys see this? This figure here was Hunter, but he was sitting in front of Carmelo. So now you can see him, right? But watch how he, look at, this is Hunter. This is his arm. Watch as Carmelo runs back. Look at this swing. You see that swing? Anybody's been slapped before, you know what time it is. You see this swing right here? You see his arm nicely. It's like a perfect swing. That's Hunter. Austin is falling back over here to the left. So Hunter is here. He's not sitting down. Look at this. He's swinging. He swings at Carmelo, and then you see Carmelo runs. Whether it connected with him, we don't know. But look, this is very clear. Do you see that? Look at, this is his arm. Look at there. You see his arm right there? And watch how he swings. See that? And he has like a perfect arch right there. Look at this. But you try to say this boy is sitting down. See that? And he's actually on his knees. Right here, he's on his knees. You can see the actual bleacher. He's on his knees facing backwards. Now you're going to see him pick up his left leg, and he's going to run out of the back of the tent behind Carmelo. Watch this. Watch this. You see him now standing up. Look at there. You see that? This is the gap in his legs. He came up off his knees. He was facing backwards at Carmelo. That's not a boy sitting on his butt facing the front. Look, now you see his arm here. You see his leg here. He's on the bench. You can see the bend in his knee here. This is Hunter. And you saw where he just missed this hit. Look, either he hit him or he didn't, but you could see that swing. You see that? Look how his arm is swinging. That's not a kid sitting down politely. This is activity from him. Austin is coming. Now we're going to go back and look at Austin. Look at the timing. Now you see this person is leaning in on Carmelo as, now I want you to pay attention to what Austin is doing. You see, as Austin is falling back, this boy here, look at him leaning into Carmelo. They're both engaged with Carmelo. Look at this. You see how his body is arched? He pulls back and swings. It's almost like let me show you. Keep your eyes on this figure, right? You see how, look, he's leaning in. Austin simultaneously right here, this is where he's engaging and gets stabbed. But watch how this kid pulls back up on his knees. Look at this kid. Look at this. And he swings. Look, he pulls back up and he swings. You see that? Look at this. That's not a kid sitting on his butt. minding his business. You could see the engagement of Austin and Hunter. But see, most people didn't realize it. But in court, this is courtroom testimony. Hunter was sitting right in front of Carmelo. And that's the same thing he tells you in the video with his mother. So now I'm going to show you that when Austin approaches, look at this. As Austin approaches, Hunter is already involved. Look at this. You see this? Look at you. You could just focus your mind on this guy here as Austin comes over. Check this out. Watch this. As Austin comes over, you can see the arch. This person that's on his knees, right? He's leaning into Carmelo. Watch this. I have a clearer video. I'll have it ready tomorrow. In the clearer video, you'll see a little bit better. Okay, so now as Austin comes and pushes Carmelo, look at this. This boy's leaning into Carmelo already. Now you're going to see him back up on his knees. Watch this. He backs up on his knees and he swings. Look at his swing. You see that swing right there? You see that? You could just see the body structure, and you see it's like a perfect swing right here. Look at this right here. Boom. Carmelo's running for his. You see that? Now he's breaking the top of the tent. All right. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that this is more happening here than what we've been told. I want to give you guys some time now to close out the show. Thank you. I won't interrupt you again. But I saw some people in the audience saying, oh, there's no jumping, there's no whatever. So I wanted to set it straight. All right. Thank you. And you guys close us out. And I really do appreciate all you do. There you go.
Bill, for all the naysayers saying that there is no jumping, listen, we sat in court. I got out of my bed and I went stood in line, okay? And I went into the courtroom, the actual courtroom, and saw the messages and things from Hunter and his brother, Austin. They had an obsession with jumping on people. Y'all see how close me and my twin are? You think she gonna fight and I ain't gonna help her? You think I'm gonna stand there and let somebody even hit her or do anything to her? You got another thing coming if you think so. And not just because, well, the bond for twins is much stronger than the bond of a sister or a brother. I'm here to tell you that. I'm here to tell you that right now. We are still close to this day, and we will remain that way. But for you guys to think that this twin is gonna let his brother go through something and he's not, you're insane. Okay. You need to realistically think. You want us to, be realistic. You guys need to be realistic. That twin is not going to sit there while his twin does nothing. I'm here to tell you, it's not going to happen. Okay. In the records we can see, they have a history of jumping on people. Hunter says, let's jump them. And some of the messages, they like jumping on people. You cannot sit here and possibly tell me that they did not jump on Carmelo under that tent. You can't tell me that, oh, Austin was the only one that put hands on this young man under that tent and it wasn't Hunter. If that's what you're thinking, I think you have been awake for too long or something. You need to go lay down and get you some sleep, wake back up and think over it. Think it over, because your brain may be on, underload. I don't think it's on overload. You're not thinking straight. Okay. There's no way Hunter, even from the video, from their text messages, he's not going to stand there and let his brother intervene in a fight or be involved in a fight and he not actually participate too. Especially not with this black kid, right? Not the Austin that spray painted KKK, kill all black people. That's an opportunity for you. You see your brother over here with this black kid? Nah, let me get it. And I guarantee you, you know how they said, let's record it. Yeah. I guarantee you, no one stood there and didn't just record that. Right. They were big on those. Were trophies for them. Oh, we have some information. We ain't gonna share it right now, Mel, but we also have some information that came out about the cameras, some inconsistencies about the cameras, how many cameras there were at the school and different things. I documented that too. But I'm just here to say, Mel, I absorb your message. I hear you. It may be that he doesn't get a new trial. It won't be because he doesn't deserve one, or it won't be because the facts don't show that he deserves one. It'll be because this is how we do things here in Texas, according to the Bill Worski. Okay. But the facts show that a due process was not followed and he should be granted a new trial. So on that.
All right, here we go, guys. Oh boy, here we go. I think we have the breaking news. Oh boy. On August the 22nd, 2026, right? 22nd
Yeah.
today?
Yes.
Okay. It says a Texas judge denied a motion for a new trial for Carmelo Anthony. The 19-year-old was previously convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison for the 2025 stabbing of Austin Metcalf. He's been denied. Hold on, let me unmute you.
We knew it, Mel. You knew it because this is how they do things here in Texas.
Now, this may not be totally accurate, but because this comes up as the AI, you know how Google gives you the AI latest news, but I'm pretty sure that this is probably going to be true. So this is from Google's AI, and it says on August 22nd, 2026. I don't know why. We have to fix it. I don't know why it does that. But it says a Texas judge denied motion for a new trial for Carmelo Anthony. The 19-year-old was previously convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison. So there you have it. Maybe this could be inaccurate, but I think it's going to be a depiction
The
of
end result.
the truth.
Well, we wait. It's finna. I'm gonna tell you this, Mel. Shit finna get real around here.
So there you have it. Hold on one second. We might as well stay live because I think I'm gonna be able to find it. Just give me a second. You guys can keep talking though, but it looks like he got denied a new trial. All right.
I already knew it. And Mel, we were in the courtroom. There was no point that Russell did not make. And now when I tell you this is insane to me. This is insane. Russell Wilson proved his points and had all of the facts in there and showed you that they did not do what they needed to do. And still, yet here we are with this black kid being denied a new trial.
Well, I
All of
told
the
you.
facts.
I tried to tell you guys.
Yeah, because we know how they do things in Texas. Well, Mel, the only thing I can tell them is put their big boy drawers on because I don't think Russell going down without a fight. That man stood in that courthouse and he made it his business. Now, for why it was denied, I don't know. I'm waiting to see the information.
Okay, here we go, guys. This is from the WFAA. Who told me that? Hold on. Who was the person there? I want to make sure I docket it. Can somebody help me find out who was it that said the WFAA website? Somebody in the chat. I want to make sure I recognize that person. Whoever just put the WFAA ruled on it or stated this, I want to recognize you thank you for pointing out the website. It took me straight to the answer. Man, somebody can help me find one of the moderators. Please help me find out. Or if you wrote that, just identify yourself. I want to do something for you. So let's see. All right, we'll find it. Somebody just put it in. Oh, there we go. Michael H is the person that told me. Okay, here we go. Actually, I want to. Everybody, give me a moment. I like to put things on the screen, so just bear with me for a moment. You guys, can you guys just keep talking, and I'll be back. Okay, so just go ahead and talk. I'll pull this up.
Yeah, we had people outside of the courthouse yesterday. They said, they felt good about it. But if, he would not be granted a new trial, then it would basically be because it's some racism going on. And it's embedded here deeply. You had to be inside of the courtroom for yourself, right? Russell had to make his point or had to prove the facts for us to, come out of there, even after seeing the messages from Carmelo and still say, hey, still the process was not followed. I don't know who Worski or Roach, what type of pool they have or who's in their pockets or who pockets they're in, but this shouldn't have been the outcome. We knew it would have been the outcome, or we knew there was a possibility that it could have been, but it shouldn't have been.
All right. So here we go, guys. Here you have it right here. Let's see here. So Carmelo Anthony motion for new trial denied by North Texas judge. I told you. Oh, you can't hear me? You guys can't hear me at all?
Ain't that some bullshit? Right.
Yep, look at this. It says Carmelo Anthony's appeal for a new trial has failed. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, they went out. Okay. All right, so they'll be back in. So Carmelo Anthony's appeal for a new trial has failed, according to multiple sources. All right, so there you have it. There's the answer to this. Let me bring the twins back up. So it's official. It's official.
We knew it. We knew it would be. That judge, though, I can say this. I feel like he's gonna now Mel is gonna mess with his reputation because they said that he's a judge. He likes to go by the books and he likes to go by, the process and law. He likes to follow the law. If you were in that courtroom and you heard Russell's delivery, you heard him call out each of those points. Mel, the facts are there. So, we don't understand why it's not, but we do understand in the same sense why he was denied a new trial. And it's not because he doesn't deserve one or that there were no violations. It's because this is how they do things here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tried to tell you because I cover all these cases. I cover so many. Even
Yeah.
Diddy, all his billions of dollars, they say no dice. So they're going to take so long. By the time they give him an answer, he'll probably have a week left, if that.
Yeah. Mel, can you see? Can
See,
you?
see,
I'm
you
sorry.
have to. What's that? I'm sorry.
No, I was trying. We can't see the comments, so we was trying to see if you can see, the things that was being said.
Oh, the comments. Let's see. Yeah, I can see the comments. Let's see. Let's see. Can you see? You can't see them now?
We can see. And they're small in the little box on the side.
Okay, there we go. Can you see it now?
Yeah, this deeper than eyes. It is. Stay the course, right?
You can
Mel,
go ahead. You can go ahead and address them if you like.
they move the field goal post like always. Yep, they always do. I just don't. I don't understand what's so fucking hard about these people taking accountability and saying when they are wrong. Like, why do you feel like you are the king of the world and that you should be worshipped and everybody else is at the sacrifice of that? I don't get it. I don't understand. I tell you what though, this day and time, you're gonna have a whole lot of more Austins. And they better quit playing moving their field goal posts before they make some field goals with these people for real. Because it's due process, Mill. They clearly violated this boy. And Russell is stellar. That man stood in that courtroom. He stated every point. There were facts behind it. But like you said, it's let's give him just a little piece of a little piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna give him a little dessert. Maybe that'll fuel him a little bit. But we already know what it's gonna be.
Yeah, I had a feeling that the answer would come before 5 o'clock, just before 5.
Mm-hmm. You know it, don't you, Mel?
Well, I mean, this is what I do. I go to these court cases. It's very tough to get past. Listen, this was. I have to be careful what I say, but I want to be honest. This wasn't about getting a new trial. This was about letting the public know that Carmelo wanted to lick a knife with somebody's blood on it. So now when you say no, and you have the people like today in the audience that are saying, oh, it's, whatever, whatever. See, now you don't really have a strong argument because they're going to say, well, they're not going to care about anything that the Metcalf twins did, anything as far as racially motivated things. They don't care about that. The main thing is they're going to focus on, oh, that morning his girlfriend broke up with him. He says he was low key on the verge. He was just looking to. When I covered Carmelo's trial, the main point is that Bill Worski basically painted the picture. That morning, like Carmelo woke up as a man on a mission looking to devour somebody. You know, in the Bible, it talks about the devil seeking to devour somebody. That's the picture that they painted. You follow? So this was a matter of formality. They pulled a judge. I've been saying it the last couple of days. They pulled a judge out of retirement. Now you don't have a judge on the bench that has to go and deal with the backlash. This judge is going to go somewhere into the sunset, and you won't hear from him again. Okay. I could read it. I could just read it. If you look at it and you cover enough cases, you start to see, it is what it is. So, and the other thing is, Russell Wilson was the best man in town. So who are you going to send now to try to appeal it? So, I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done, but even the fact that the previous judge, as the girl said, he was still in the Zoom. Come on, man. I'm trying to tell you guys what it is. Anyway, I don't want to say too much more than that. I want to be able to go back to Texas someday, so I have to stay in the, I'm already on the radar, so let me chill out. Thank you guys, though. I'm going to give you a few moments to express yourself. I know it's tough. You guys covered this case. You did a beautiful job doing it. I still want you to finish out your presentation. I think it's very important still. But anyway, let me let you carry on a little bit. We'll give it another it's 4:45. I have to leave in a few. So let's just close it out. Thank you so much, though. Okay, I'll let you guys close out for us.
All right, so we just heard that his motion for a new trial was denied. From my understanding, from how it was explained, they said that if the motion was denied, then it would go before the. No. There's the appeal. They still have the appeal process that they have to go through, but. Let it be clear that I'm still not going to lose hope. I'm still not going to lose faith, because at the end of the day, I was in the courtroom. I know I see Russell, and I know what Russell can bring forward. This man had all facts. If you are not going to abide by the facts, then we know one thing that is clear here. He was not denied because that point was not proven. And that's a fact. He was not denied because his lawyer did not prove his point. Because when I tell you, it sounds like Worski was just in there on a emotional roller coaster, speaking off his opinion, and Russell was the one that was stating facts and law. When you have the law here, you have the law, and you guys still deny this man a new trial. And it said that if this is not done, then a new trial is mandatory. And still, with the facts that Russell proved, there was nothing. The motion for the new trial to be denied. But I say stay tuned and let's see what the next move is going to be, because I can guarantee you that it's not over. No, it's not over by a long shot. And shit finna get real. So for all y'all naysayers who think y'all still running shit, we say bring the fight. Bring it, because we ready. And y'all can get your ass beat. That's what y'all gonna get. That's what y'all gonna get. So y'all gonna FAFO. If that's what y'all think it's gonna go down like that, y'all gonna FAFO. We understand that we're in a time where y'all, were born with power just because of the color of your skin, and y'all think that we're supposed to back down and bow down and worship you. But I'm gonna tell you, it ain't that over here. It ain't there for a lot of people, apparently. It wasn't there for Carmelo, and we still fighting for him, and we gonna fight till we bring him up out of there. You can get your hands up off of him. Y'all can think that his lawyer failed, but his lawyer did not. His lawyer did exactly what he's supposed to do. And the reason why he was denied, we're still gonna say, is because this is how they do things here in Texas. And it's apparent how they do things here in Texas. Russell is stellar. Worski is nothing. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Watching from the window as the rain begins to fall. Different streets, but we're walking through it all. You carry your story and I carry mine, but the weight feels the same when we stand in line. And I know we don't look the same, but I hear you calling my name, standing together, watching the world go around, standing together, we won't let it tear us down. Your hands know a language mine never learned, but the fire inside us both still burns. Different colors painted on the same old sky. Every shade is beautiful if you just look twice. And I know we don't sound the same, but I feel you calling my name, standing together, watching the world go around, standing together, we won't let it tear us down, standing together, differences keep us strong, standing together. This is where we belong. Nobody said it would be easy to see through another man's eyes, but the love that we keep building is worth every compromise. Standing together, watch the world go round. Standing together, we won't let it tear us down. Standing together, our differences keep us strong. Standing together, this is where we belong.
Graffiti sprayed on